I call the Whitewater Township Board regular meeting to order at 9 o'clock. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You don't want to set that up. Roll call of members. Milnick.
Here.
Aaron.
Here.
Esther. Here. Oaksma present, Slipsma excused, absent. Need a motion. Who is running the meeting?
I would like to make a motion for Tim Aaron's to run today's meeting. I think he would have 30 years of
Some of that is it's this computer's microphone is on. Just a moment.
We have a motion for Tim to run the meeting and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
The motion doesn't pass. I don't know what happens then.
Motion, I make a motion to have Randy Milnick run the meeting. I decline that. I don't care to run the meeting. Not able to. I'll make a motion to have Jill Kester run the meeting.
I deny that too.
Okay. Oh, here's Wendy. Paul.
Uh,
Make a motion to have Wendy run the meeting. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? No. Motion carried. Moving on.
I have the, how that vote went for me.
It was 3-1.
And
So we're gonna set,
Esther. Okay.
so we're gonna set or approve the agenda. Does anybody have any ads?
Propose that we move G2 to G1 until our auditor can get here. Or to allow our auditor to get here.
I have a correspondence to add as well, a Bruce, last name Bruce for STR that came in yesterday.
On what topic?
Correspondence,
I mean, what's,
STR.
oh, STR, okay. And is the correspondence book always like out in the public table or?
It is not, but
Oh,
I brought it out here.
okay.
Anybody else have any agenda items to add or change? I make a motion to approve the agenda as amended. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Motion carried. Declaration of conflict of interest. Does anyone have any conflict of interest of any items on this agenda?
No.
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 We're at public comment. Any person wishing to speak to us in the Township Hall has 5 minutes to do so at the lectern. Does anybody want to make a public comment?
Yes.
We have no public hearing. Moving on to reports. So the Grand Traverse County Sheriff's Department has a presentation today. It looks like Mr. Brandon Brinks.
Captain Brinks, Raymond Brinks. Would it be okay if I introduce why this is on the agenda?
Yeah.
Okay, while they're getting that set up, I just wanted to sort of introduce why this is on your agenda and why we're having a presentation from the Sheriff's Department. It's been something that's been a little bit discussed the last 6 months, really, about should we take a look at the model of community police officer in Whitewater Township? And I've talked with a few different people at the Sheriff's Department, mainly in the beginning was Under Sheriff Fulis. And ironically, he was actually the Whitewater Township Community Police Officer, along with Acme Township. It was split, shared. I'm not sure when that stopped, and what the reason maybe was for that. But the one for Whitewater Township, obviously, we don't have one now. Many of the townships do, obviously Garfield, and East Bay with the populations they have, but Long Lake, is kind of a model that we're looking at, for here. And then the Peninsula has one, I'm not sure who else, but in Acme as well. They have a full-time
Kingsley.
one. Kingsley does.
Yep.
Yeah, they share one, I think, right? But so anyway, we just thought we'd take a look. This presentation, I think, has been updated. It was presented to the former board maybe 5 years ago, and they decided to pass at the time. For whatever reason, maybe it was budgetary. We thought now would be a good time to have a presentation for the board members to consider this, and as we go into the budget season, to see if this is something that you would like to budget for. And so with that, we have Captain Brings here to present what a community police officer would be like, how it would operate in our township, and what the program really is.
All right, good morning. Yeah, Lieutenant Raska was supposed to come out and then he had some training today, so he has passed the baton to me. I'm the patrol captain for the sheriff's office, and Lieutenant Raska is the one that oversees the community police program, but I was in his position for a little while before I came to the captain's position. So as Tim was saying, right now we have 15 township CPO funded positions, and we have the numbers on there. Acme has one, Blair has one, East Bay has two, Fife Lake has one, Garfield has five, and then Green Lake has one, Kingsley, Mayfield, Paradise all share one, Long Lake has one, Peninsula has two. And then aside from that, Garfield Township also funds an additional 8 deputy positions for just general patrol within the township. And you'll see why in a few minutes here. But and then they also fund a detective and a lieutenant position. So Lieutenant Raska's position is funded by Garfield Township, but he oversees the entire community police program with all of the CPOs. These are just some of the things that the CPOs do themselves. We do active shooter preparedness training. We'll go into businesses, teach people run, hide, fight, that sort of stuff. Building security evaluations. Our Acme Township CPO will go into a church or a school and show them places that are, weak points within the building that could be an area that someone could get in easily. And then they go to the township meetings, quick things like coffee with a cop and career days, the DEA truck takebacks. They get a lot of time for election day type stuff. That's usually something that they all work. I'm assuming this is accurate, but it's Wikipedia, so bear with it. But I had the population of our township at 2688 as of the 2020 census. It showed it was down a little bit from 2018. I don't know if that's entirely accurate or not, but okay. So it looks like it's dropped just a little bit. But as far as call volume in the townships, as you can see, Garfield, East Bay, and Blair, that makes up the majority of our call volume in the county. Whitewater sits at around 3%, and part of that has to do with the traffic crashes as well. So all of our call volume also includes, anytime somebody stops a car for suspended driving, no insurance, a domestic assault, all of those things gather a criminal or a complaint number that gets logged into our CAD system. So crashes are within that too. And Whitewater, you guys are pretty steady. I went back even years past, and it stays pretty steady around that 90 to 120 range for total traffic crashes. PDA is property damage. That means there was no injury involved in the crash, and then PIA is an injury crash. But there's about 110 total. So Grand Traverse County, we typically have about 30,000 complaints a year total. And Whitewater's 3% of that. So you're, a few hundred complaints a year, and out of that is 110 crashes. Nope. So
Just because this one's not.
not picking up. Okay. And then just up more along the lines of crashes, just because that's one of the primary things that deputies are out here for. The total county crashes are 2,946. And you can see going back, 10 years ago, they stay pretty steady as well. We had a huge dip around that COVID area when traffic was really cleared off the roads. We had everything dipped significantly for that couple of years. And then traffic enforcement, this is just traffic stops out here in Whitewater Township. This is just for 2025. There was 208 total traffic stops and 62 tickets written out here. And then hours, total time that the sheriff's office spent in Whitewater was 825 hours. And you can kind of see just the average hours that were spent on some different things, suspicious situations, crashes, assists, stuff like that. Some of the crime stuff is pretty low. You can see burglary. There was a couple of hours spent total out here on that. And then community programs that we do. Some people like to call and have the sheriff's office while they're down in Florida, while they're wintering someplace else, have a deputy come out, check their house, make sure that it's secure. And then again, through some of the other stuff that we already went through. Cost, since this is the question that's going to get asked at the end, right now, townships are paying $109,000 going into 2026 annually for a deputy. It gets billed out quarterly. And the total cost for a deputy is right now right around 139,500. That includes fringe benefits, IT charges, the vehicle, that's divvying up a vehicle for a 5-year cost every year. It costs about $43,000 to $45,000. We'll see what my bids are Monday on cars, but usually around $43,000 to $45,000 for a new patrol car if we can buy the cheapest one we can get. And then it costs about $12,000 to $14,000 right now to outfit one with lights, sirens, radios, and everything else. So
question.
Yep.
So if we decided to go to do this, would that require the county to buy a new vehicle and hire a new employee?
So right now, we would probably be looking, you would either have to hold a vehicle from one of the ones that we're going to auction, which would be a high mileage car that has a lot of problems. And then look at trying to get a new car in 2027. We're already budgeted. We're already out for bids for 2026 for cars. So yeah, at some point it would require getting another vehicle. Yeah. But included in that is also, it's about $2,000 a year for maintenance for a car and gas. And that's trying to include every dollar that we spend to put a deputy on the road out there taking complaints.
Do you have
So
an option for growth in your budgets, or that would have to be budgeted in?
it's pretty set for 2026. Yeah. Not that it can't be done, but it's set pretty much for this year. I think, and I'm not trying to slow the process down. I guess that this is something that we'd probably be looking at 2027 to start if it was something that you guys wanted to do. And the other issue is just like, that's the tough part too. Right now we're doing really, really well. We're doing the best we've done in several years. But it's tough to find people experienced to come work. And most likely when a CPO position opens up, you're going to get somebody that has some experience. It's going to want to come out here and be a CPO. It's going to be a senior person.
So just to tag on a little bit with the cost, I don't know if you're going to cover more of that, but some of the townships actually have a millage to pay for this.
I don't know how all the townships pay.
Like Garfield and East Bay, I think Senator Raska told me that.
Peninsula does
Pay
too.
money.
Yeah.
Yeah, the peninsula has money. I know they do. They have specific money that's set aside that has to be used for law enforcement. Garfield has to, just because of the size of it. I don't know how it works. I have no idea how the specifics of their budget works with it, but they have
It's just something for the board to keep in mind if the budgetarily the amount is not doable. That could be an option to pay for maybe even a portion of it or something, some blend of how that might work. So it's something that other townships have done. So
But that's all I have. If you guys have any questions at all, I'm happy to answer whatever you have. And
If we did budget for it and our budget year starts April 1, what would be the lead time on getting somebody?
so it's hard to answer that just because typically going into summer is when we lose people. Um, and I'm not trying to sound doom and gloom,
And
but
that's when we get people.
Yeah. two years ago, we went into the summer 11 people schedule. Last summer, we went into our schedule 9 people down in the schedule. This year, fingers crossed, we're less than that. But when it gets that low, when we get below 7 people on the schedule, we're in like a critical status for operation. You know, operationally, we're operating at the lowest amount that we can with people on the road. So it's hard to predict in January what our level of manpower will look like going into June. Right now, it looks really, really good, but I can't say what that'll be in 2 or 3 months. We have 2 retirements coming up and then a couple other people that are in the process with some stuff. So I know that we are going to go into the summer short, but how short, I don't know. And then it comes to hiring people, and just as an aside for this, for us to hire somebody right now, if we can find somebody that's a certified police officer to bring in with experience, we can get them from the time that we interview them to the time that we get them on the road, actually filling a spot on our schedule, about 4 to 6 months, somewhere in that range. If we have to sponsor somebody, which is what we have to do a percentage of the time now, which is you bring somebody in that has no law enforcement experience, we pay for their police academy, and then they go through our field training process. We can't get it done faster than 11 months. That seems to be the quickest we can do it.
So do they have to have a tie to our township or not? And do we have a say in who gets hired?
If you get 3 with Long Lake, we were able to have 3, I think 3 people put in for it, and we were able to have them come out and talk with the township, and they had some weigh in on who got selected for that
Okay.
spot. If you get one person that puts in for it, that's it. So, and we also, we have a union for our guys. So there are CBA rules that apply for overtime and selection process and stuff like that too, that can help, or that can sometimes help and hinder the process. So,
Randy, did you still have a question?
I do.
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, so is there any requirements for office space or anything that you need in the township, or physical space to park a car or to?
No, typically most of the townships provide at least a small office or something for them to be in to work out of if they're in the area. Some townships use the township office, some use the fire department. Um, you know,
So just a desk someplace would be
Yeah,
adequate, you
just a
think?
desk at somewhere. Yeah, all of our stuff is all self-sufficient, so it operates out of the car. And then if they want to pull their computer out, they can run it from an office someplace as well. One thing that's super helpful right now is just having a scanner to be able to scan in documents. So just a place to plug that in, at least if we buy them one to put in the office. But for the most part, they're pretty self-sufficient, and most of the deputies work primarily out of their car. That's their office. So.
Is there, did you have more?
I have one other one.
Okay.
Just, so is there a certain number of hours that we could count on for the sheriff deputy to be available? I'm sure that varies from day to day.
Yeah, and yes, thanks. I meant to touch on that. So they're a full-time employee. It's 40 hours a week, but going back to typically you're going to get a senior guy that puts in for it. A lot of times that person's going to have 4 to 6 weeks of vacation a year and also training. And right now the state of Michigan requires us to do, just in the last few years, they've even certified officers that have been cops for years. We now have required training that we have to go through every year through MCOLS, which is the Commission on Law Enforcement Standards. And so we have core training, which is a Wednesday a month for every deputy. And then depending on if that deputy has specialties like our emergency response team or the dive team, drone recovery, any of that kind of stuff, sometimes those are a day a month as well that they're on training. So typically you're going to lose somebody. I mean, just conservatively for 4 to 6 weeks a year, you're going to lose them to training and vacation.
But most of their 40 hours would be spent in our township.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. And we just changed our report processes too, so they don't have to make as many runs back into the law enforcement center to turn in paperwork and some of that stuff. We're working working into a paperless system, but it's had its hiccups as well. But it allows the guys to not have to, they don't have to come back to the station as much. So I think I'd have to go back through and look at the stats, but typically about 70 to 80% of the time of the officer is spent in the township for their hours that they're scheduled to work.
So my question was related to Randy's, and I was wondering, and I asked Lieutenant Raska this and asked him actually to talk to Fulis and that, and we really have the need primarily in the summer. And right now, we did have, through the secondary road grant program or whatever, we had some extra patrols on our secondary streets for a little bit this fall. And it was reported back to me that there was just such a little activity, not a lot of construction going on, where we've had complaints from residents about speeding and that. And so I just asked for the sheriff's department to kind of get together and talk about, is there any possibility of seasonal CPO?
CPO, no, because to bring somebody on to work a position outside of our regularly scheduled positions, we don't have anything within our collective bargaining agreement to bring anybody in part-time or to bring somebody in seasonally for actual certified patrol work. Yeah, we just don't have.
I thought I'd ask.
Yeah, we don't have that option. So what some of the townships have done is contract with us for a period of time, 3 days a week for 2 or 4 hours to come out and do traffic in specific locations. And we have done some of those contracts with people to do that, but.
I just think in the winter, I don't know that there'd be a whole lot to do, is a concern that I have, but. And then the only other thing, is it okay if I ask Josh a question to chime in on this?
Yeah.
There's space to play a role.
Yeah.
Well, can you come up and I just wanted to ask if, well, yeah, there's a desk, right? But I just wanted to ask how, if we did a CPO for Whitewater full-time, how would this impact your operations? Would it enhance it? What's your thoughts on the idea?
From the traffic crash aspect, it would actually enhance it because if we don't have a car on the east side, say the east side car is pulled into Garfield for another traffic crash. I mean, we've waited 15, 20 minutes sometimes for an officer to show up. And sometimes we're just there because it was called out as a PIA, ends up being a PDA, but we can't clear until laws there for traffic reasons. So it would help in those situations. Say we had a potential CPR in progress call or a medical alert into a house. We can't actually force entry without law enforcement there. And so having a deputy in town, our side would help tremendously on calls like that. We have to usually wait for our Marine to come out from Acme.
Right.
So, but
Okay. I thought there would be kind of a little bit of a crossover there, assistance with each other. So.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
One other question. So can you expand on the benefits of this from the standpoint of relationships like with their school district or any other entities here? It seems like there's somebody dedicated here that they can begin to have some stronger ties to local institutions.
Yeah, I think the biggest benefit is, being out here, maybe you have 300 complaints a year and you're probably looking at numerous deputies and state police officers handling those complaints. So you might get one person. Some of the deputies might handle one complaint in Whitewater a year. Some might handle 3 or 4 a year, but they're not making any connections whatsoever. They're not talking to anybody. They're getting here, they're taking care of what they got to take care of, and they're probably getting back to wherever else they got a call pending for them somewhere else in the county. So from the community police standpoint, it just gives a little bit more of an option for you guys as a board to say, hey, this is a specific problem. Can you go address this? Or this is a specific problem. You got Ryder trucks parking on the side of the road down here. Can you go handle that problem and deal with it and manage it, make sure it's good, and then it just tends for them to have more of an impact, more of a connection with the township board, the township people, the schools, because typically if they're working, they're normally going to work 7 to 5 or 8 to 6. Like there's some daytime hours that they're here. And so if there is a problem at the school, it's normally them that's going to be going and handling it. And again, they're only here 40 hours a week out of 7 days. So there's a lot of time and a lot of space available for other people to have to come out here and take complaints. But those other officers that are coming out here, they might be here for 2 hours on a domestic assault, but then they're right back out of here. To where that township deputy is, I mean, this is where they're at, and
All right.
I left a couple business cards. If questions come up in the meantime that you just have, feel free to email me and I can get you whatever information you want.
One to Linda.
And anytime.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very
All right.
much.
Yep, thank you.
Moving on to G1, Gabridge and Company audit presentation,
Richard White.
and that would be Richard Nyhart. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. So Richard's going to be referring to the actual audit. It's in your packet. So when he refers to a page number, maybe go to the actual audit report and then look for the page number of the audit, not the page number of the packet.
Thanks for the clarification.
You want to use this?
Could you spell your last name for me?
Neihard, as in Delta, T as in Tango. Yep, no problem. I think I'll just go off my phone here. How long are we thinking for time on that? I have an HDMI.
Probably 1 minute.
Okay.
So, I would just break into this meeting, so just switch on.
Oh, that's a Zoom meeting.
Yeah, and you share your screen.
Yeah.
No.
Let's,
You just have to look to that.
yeah, go ahead and email it to me.
Okay, it's in the.
Breaking for 1 minute for coordination with Zoom.
Need a bigger thermos.
Did you talk to him about numbers
I think it's,
numbers not being right? What did?
Wendy, is it Whitewater guest for the password?
It's
I'll use, well, they're not.
it's just Whitewater, I believe,
Compared it to.
with lowercase words.
Just Whitewater.
Yep.
And well, the number, but he said it would not, I talked to him this morning, he said it wouldn't change their report. I mean, it just makes the difference from 10,000 to 6, but it comes from other different areas anyway. And it's not
Right.
supplementary. It's not, it's provided by us and that's what he got. So that's what it is.
Agenda, not before us, and because I'm more to joy, I review it as a opinion. I think it's more. Sure. Excellent. Say.
In progress.
I'll make you a panel.
This is yours, right?
Yeah.
I think I'll do this too. Oh, geez. Excellent.
Briggs did a good job. Can you use a handheld microphone?
Sure. Surprised how many townships do it. That is bringing up. Right here in your treasure.
No, just know that it's sharing your.
Yes.
I'll give you a hand.
Oh,
So if you go to your.
All right.
Yeah,
All right, so we're rolling.
need to proceed.
Yeah, so yeah, nothing like some municipal finance to get going on a nice winterly day. So yeah, my name is Richard. I was a part of the audit team, put the report together for you all, worked on some consulting for you as well. I think I can move this out. Maybe not. Okay, so really what I'm planning to do for you all today is to guide you through the audit report, touch on some of the highlights for the report itself, help you understand some of the more useful pieces of the report, and then answer any questions that you all would have related to the report. So every one of these audit reports, we're going to have a table of contents. We're not going to touch on absolutely everything in here, but we will start right here on printed page 1. So the PDF, it's page 3. So the independent auditors report is really, it's really a lot of the end deliverable that you all are getting. And what this is stating is particularly in paragraph 2, in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects the respective financial position of the township as a whole as of March 31, 2025. So that used to be referred to as a clean opinion. It's since changed to be called an unmodified opinion. We're not modifying our opinion in any respect. So it's effectively stating that the financial statements referred to within the report can be relied upon for decision-making purposes. So the next section I'll draw your attention to is the management's discussion and analysis section. This was prepared in conjunction with Tim. So this begins on page 5. So really, this is like a Cliff Notes version of the audit report. It looks at the township as a whole on the full accrual basis of accounting. There's some financial highlights. It touches on some of the key metrics, particularly one that's really good to be aware of is the end of the current fiscal year, unassigned fund balance for the general fund was approximately 131.7% of general fund expenditures and transfers out. That's pretty in line with what I see for townships of this size. Anywhere from 50% up to 200% is generally what I see. So right within that normal range. There's a lot of descriptors in here just talking about the contents of the report, what the different funds are, what those funds, what it means to be a governmental fund or a proprietary fund. So I did mention there was a comparative financial statements. So on page 8, we've got condensed comparative financial information. So you can just see year over year from 24 to 25. This is akin to a balance sheet. So just seeing the difference, changes in cash, changes in liabilities, year over year investments in net investment in capital assets. And for some of those changes year over year, there are some descriptions as to the nature of, why did cash increase? So I won't go into those at this point, but I can answer any questions you might have on those. Similarly, year over year information, revenues and expenditures. So changes in net position, that's going over the details related to the changes in net position. We can see there was a relatively consistent year over year in terms of total change in net position. So I can highlight down here, we had an increase in net position of 633,000 over the year compared to an increase of 659,000 in the previous year for governmental activities. So the financial and also there are some graphics in here just showing as far as the governmental activities, the revenues, how those are broken up in terms of the amount of monies you receive for taxes, charges for services, grants, things like that. Sometimes these can be useful illustrations. The basic financial statement section begins on page 15. So on pages 15 and 16, these are really reiterations of what we just seen, a little bit more detail. If you would notice too, things are broken down at a functional level. So general government is going to be considered things like the township board, clerk, treasurer, board of review, things like that. Public safety would be for fire or policing costs. uh, Parks and Recreation falling under Rec and Culture, et cetera. Page 17 is a governmental balance sheet. So things you would notice on here, there's no long-term capital assets listed here. This is the modified accrual basis of accounting. So this is very similar to if you were to run a balance sheet out of BS&A. These are similar to the balances that you would be seeing right out of your accounting system. And page 19, similar situation where if you were to look at revenues and expenditures year over year by grouping, this is what you would be seeing from your system by fund.
Can I ask a question? on
Absolutely.
that page.
Sure.
So on, just noticed this for the first time, but in the total governmental funds, the transfers in and the transfers out are off by $1,000?
That's the amount of the Miami sewer.
Okay,
It was closed out.
995.
So this is presenting only governmental activities.
Okay,
So the Miami sewer historically was referred to as proprietary or business type activities. And as that was closed out, we'll skip ahead 2 statements and we'll actually see the other side of that.
okay.
And I will jump back up first to the statement of activities so we can see where we're balanced out, and down right in this section here, transfers. So that's at 994.
I see it, yeah.
So that's where we're split between, over here, we've got our governmental activities at the top, business type activities down at the bottom.
Okay,
So because they're treated as like 2 separate columns or opinion
Categories,
units,
yeah.
categories, we would show the transfers in bulk, the net transfers from governmental activities to proprietary and vice versa. So that's why it isn't balancing right on those sheets.
okay.
But one thing I'll touch quickly on the footnotes, which is really just, it's kind of like the about me section for the township. Goes into a lot of detail for just how the township is comprised, what the different funds are, what the major funds are. That starts on page 27. As far as being able to see what I would say would be some of the more useful information in here as far as details are concerned. In the, you can see any budgetary variances you had, how your cash and assets were broken out during the year. Interfund transfers, this can be useful just understanding for money going from one fund to another. So capital assets, just seeing what your beginning balances were, what depreciation looked like for the year, how it was broken out in terms of land improvements, equipment, vehicles, things like that. So just kind of seeing where you're at in terms of the aging of equipment and buildings and things like that. Do have some breakout for your fund balances as well, understanding specifically. So this is on printed page 40. So just understanding the different restrictions and commitments related to fund balance. We have a whole footnote dedicated to that. And so things do look a lot different. We'll touch on the required supplementary information in a moment, but one thing I did want to point out where the township did make some significant changes year over year. So obviously, as you all know, migrating to BS&A software, no easy task to do a software conversion at any time, let alone being a newer board and also taking on a software conversion. The nice thing is you are now on that system, and we were able to issue a clean opinion that should be reflective of your financial statements. And as far as what this has allowed you all to do as well is to simplify some of the township's reporting and reporting in terms of accounting for various funds. One of our GASB standards, 54, states that a township or any government should really just operate on the minimum number of funds that it would need to. And I don't mean dollars. I mean a fund in terms of your general fund, your road fund. These aren't bank accounts. These are sets of accounts where you're accounting for an activity. So in the past, and we had made a recommendation at our first year of audit that the township had funds that were really not technically a fund because they were just being supported by the general fund. So when you have an activity that is just explicitly supported by the general fund, just account for it in the general fund. And the board took great steps in being able to eliminate 1, 2, 3, technically 4 because of the Miami sewer. So 4 funds are eliminated. That's 4 less budgets you have to do. That's 4 less sets of charts of accounts you have to deal with. So like overall, the simplification there is it's really a step in the right direction. So it's definitely going to reduce workload. It's going to reduce any level of confusion. I would say your financial statements, this section won't even exist next year because everything was closed out. So it doesn't mean that you can't have funds set aside for your road. It's just if you're committing something via a board action, that can just happen within the general fund. That's totally fine. We don't need to create a whole new fund for it. And based on the communications I've had with all of the parties of the board that are involved in the accounting, it sounds like that's the plan for moving forward. So pardon me one moment. I'm a little bit confused. One moment.
I think too, you recommended that one more fund that we could close would be impress payroll to simplify it and
Yes, and
with that in the general fund.
yeah, and the impress payroll account we had talked before where it's really not serving the purpose that an impress payroll account would. It's actually complicating our processes a little bit. We can certainly talk about that. At another point, at that fund, because of the nature of how it operates, it is considered to be a part of the general fund, but just due to being 2 accounts, there isn't really any sense of it being presented completely separately. The bank account itself, I believe, was a part of pooled cash already, which the general fund is a part of, and it's just that balance is included within the general fund balance. And then towards the end of the report, I'm sure you all have had a chance to take a look. So any findings, any things we had coming to our attention, comments and recommendations, we had those things in the back of the report for you all to review. And it sounds like there's action being taken for most all of those. So I mean, that's great. That's moving in the direction we need. I can certainly say that next year, things are going to be a lot more simple in terms of reporting. And I believe you all are working with an outside accountant at present to continue to keep things current and reconciled and on the right track. So last thing I really just have for you all is just budget monitoring. I would hope, and what I encourage for every board, the state of Michigan requirement for reviewing revenues and expenditures to actual is quarterly. So that's the hard requirement is quarterly. You must be reviewing expenditures, budget to actual on a quarterly basis. Best practice, which the state also encourages as a best practice, is to do it monthly. I also strongly encourage monthly. I believe you all are doing that. I'm not positive on that, but that is strong recommendation. Making your budget amendments timely before year end as to avoid any overages. So just keeping an eye on those things. But any questions you all would have related to the report, I would be happy to address.
I would like to ask, as a public view, what would be the couple things that you would tell the public, like how to understand this? So I would like to touch on that we're a new board. Obviously, you already touched on that. And this is only 4 months really of us that we're looking at. And also, could you understand, like, overall, could you tell them what you think? Like, basically, so the public's not going to care about like all these little details. They just want to know, are we good? kind of.
Yeah, so actually going back to the very first section here, in terms of looking at the township as a whole, its financial solvency, one of the very key metrics to look at is the amount of fund balance you have as it relates to your annualized expenditures. So in the management's discussion analysis section, one of the bullet points I had was actually that metric, and I think you're at 130%. So really what this means is if you were to take on no money for the year, if you didn't have taxes, you didn't have state revenue sharing, things like that, the general fund would be able to operate, assuming expenditures were the exact same as last year, you'd be able to operate for 1.3 years without a worry. But at that point, then you would be completely out of money. But yeah, so and all of your funds, happy to report positive net position or positive fund balance and all those. And fund balance for anybody unaware, that's think of it like equity in a balance sheet. So assets, liability, equity, it's like your leftover. It's the if you made $100 for the year and you only had $25 in expenses, well, you've got $75 in equity. You've got 75 left over. So overall, the township's general fund. And again, this is unassigned. So unassigned fund balance of $949,000. While there are portions, as I mentioned earlier, the township chose to close out those funds that weren't actually funds, so to speak. So when I go take a look at the balance sheet for the general fund, apologize for the rapid scrolling. So we look here, we've actually got a committed amount here too. This is actually from some of the road monies that you all had that were closed out. So we've got 428 that's set aside for roads. That's just contained within the general fund, but the unassigned portion, the portion that you all haven't made a motion to state, hey, we're setting this aside for this. And again, the 131% is right in line generally with what I see with many communities of this size. Anywhere from 50% up to 200% is very much in a normal range. So overall,
Is that 131% include that committed or not?
No, that is
Okay,
that is
all right.
that is just by itself. So we take the 949 and then we
Okay.
compare that to the 616 plus the net or plus the 104.
Okay.
So that's where you get the overage. So you had a total of 720-ish.
Yeah.
For the year with having that 900. So
Thank you. I think that helps the public understand. a little better.
absolutely. No,
Does
thanks.
anybody have questions?
Just for
Just a-
moving forward, I'm sorry, Randy, go ahead.
Oh, just a quick one. I guess I'm along the lines of what Wendy was asking there in terms of the comparison with other local governments here. It's hard. I mean, our world starts and ends at the township border. So is what you see here about equivalent to what other smaller townships and
Yeah,
Grand Traverse County
and
have?
there's big differences too between, you can have a geographically, similar size township, but just due to having, vast farmlands and cherry orchards and really nice properties, there tends to be more dollars afforded in those situations. But overall operations in terms of what you're taking in versus what's going out, these gains year over year. It's pretty standard from what I see. One thing I would direct you to, the state of Michigan actually has a website. So it's oops, not that one. There's a document search site that I can pull up here in a moment. But what it'll do, if you're curious to what's Fife Lake Township doing? What's Acme Township doing? All of these reports are publicly available.
Was there something called a dashboard or something at one point that was done for?
Dashboards, I think, might have related to CVTRS monies, which was for the, so yeah, there was a community dashboard. City, village, town, yeah, CVTRS had a dashboard, and that was to be able to be eligible for some additional monies on the state revenue sharing side. You would have to complete a dashboard, and it just depended. Sometimes was the juice worth the squeeze? It might be an extra $1,500, and then the amount of time it takes for somebody to put it together. But yeah, that, I'm not sure that the township is participating in that. It may be, or it might not be. And I'm not sure if that's a program anymore, to be honest. I can remember 5 years ago for sure, it was kind of a buzzword. As of right now, though,
I
I'm not.
remember hearing about it and I just, I didn't know if it's application here.
There's definitely something out there. And trying to remember the last time I looked at a state revenue printout. If it isn't still a program, it certainly was. It might be out there. It would be, and maybe 1,500 a quarter or something like that, but you would have to complete the dashboard and do all of those things. And I can't remember all of what's included in that reporting. It's been probably eight years since I've completed one of the dashboards. So it's been a minute. But in terms, so this document search site here, any county, any municipality that would file an audit report, it's all out here. They're all, a lot of the reason I touch on the different formatting elements too is these are all the same. Like it's pretty much it's a prescribed thing.
You think ours is out there now?
Yes, 100%. Yep, it's out there. So City of Traverse City, if we wanted to see, or the Traverse City DDA, could look at the financial report for that if we wanted. Not that that's a comparable entity to the township, but you can pick a county, pick a township, or pick the entity type, and we'll pick on my township. So Paradise, and if you want to see what Kingsley area looked like in comparison, you can click and download the report and it's right there.
So they're pretty quick to load that in, or does that automatically happen when you send it?
It happens as part of the APR filing. I think if there's any kind of delinquency, I'm not sure on the timing on that. I know the state's super quick to send out a letter if anything's not. Their system's pretty automated to where even if there's like an extended deadline because of a holiday, they haven't updated their system. Like you'll get that alert right on the day before that, so. But yeah, this can be super useful in terms of just seeing what's out there and seeing, okay, well, how much did they spend? There are neighbors. What do they have going on? What kind of millages do they have and things? If you were curious about, hey, who has a police millage? Who has those kinds of things? You can go look at every township in the county, see what they've got. Their L4029s are publicly available, so you can see what's their total tax base. Okay, so that means they levied this much, and you can kind of go from there.
What is that website?
If you were to Google it, it's just you could just Google document search site Michigan, or Michigan local government document search, and that'll take you right there.
Like Department of Treasury.
Yeah.
So my last comment is you've mentioned that you have different formats for reporting to the public, like in public packets. And we've tried different kind of reports that just don't quite get it. We haven't found the right report in BSNA really that we should be showing monthly. They would have the budget, amended budget,
Yeah.
current month, year to date, and then the variance.
Mhm.
And I also tried to do sharing, and we can't figure out the sharing, but that's a BSNA issue. But so can you find what you would recommend that we report in our packet to the public? Find some report that you think would be a benefit and share that with Wendy.
100%. Yeah. Yep. I can send that. I believe I can even send an export file that will be so because you all are on BSNA online. One of the neat things is I can
Share your dashboard.
export my report settings. I think Wendy would have access to my dashboard. We're all still learning this. It's kind of, within the last couple of years, but for sure, excuse me, I can export report settings and hand those off that then they can get uploaded.
Yeah, that's what we tried already.
Yeah,
It didn't work, huh?
We couldn't get it
Yeah.
with each other, and I don't know, it might be a security thing or
Right. I'll have to ask.
There are things where there are certain permissions needed to be able to be considered like a report writer,
Okay.
which is how they set up. So 100% if I will give you a copy of the report that like if I run a township board, this is what I would expect to see. And
Okay.
it's just what Tim was saying, it'd be
Yeah.
general ledger account. And you can have a bunch of subtotals and things like that if you want to see it by department, which is usually the most useful.
Yeah, that's what we need.
Yeah, you know, and
By fund,
it'll
by
be
department.
it'll be individual GL lines, but you'll have subtotals by department because that's when you're doing your General Appropriations Act, that's how you're passing your budget. You're saying, all right, township board, this much, and it's going to get spread out.
Just makes better oversight.
Yeah, and well, and it makes oversight more efficient because if you pass a line item budget, you would have to make it, if you're over in postage, you have it, but you're fine in every other element of your department, you have to make an amendment. So line item budgets are not recommended. I believe the state recommends not doing them, doing it by department.
And we're doing by cost center.
Yeah, great. Absolute same thing.
And then,
Yep.
so as an example, because, and this is a question I was gonna ask you anyway, but, the fire department, last year made some budget amendments because they moved some money out of this into this because they went over on one line item. I don't necessarily think they need to do budget amendments within their, they have their own fund.
Right.
And they should only do a budget amendment if they're gonna be over in total, correct?
Yes. Now there are, I would refer back to the budget manual to just give some very exacting answers on things like that. But when it comes to doing a budget for something that is not the general fund, so the fire fund, that is budgeted in terms more of a cost center or by fund, as opposed to like sub departments within a fund. Some like you might remember from the city where major streets would have winter maintenance and this, and like it's very broken out. But like for the fire department, it's just, nope, that's the fire department. And
We do have insurance as a separate department in that fund, and I really don't know why. Maybe that's UCA, but
it might be a
with that, we might
carryover.
have to do a budget amendment on that. I don't know.
I would say no.
Okay.
Again, you're budgeting by the fund as a whole.
Okay.
As far as why there would be insurance separated, that is probably a legacy.
Okay.
I would say that's a legacy
From the chart of
accounting
account.
thing. Yeah, because
So we
within the
don't
general
have-
fund,
You don't have to do that because it's in several funds where insurance is separate, capital is a separate department number. And at the city, ours, yeah, the fund had all the same, I don't know.
yeah.
I think we're
So
getting to like a extra conversation here, so.
no worries. Yeah, I'm happy to address it. But as far as like just keeping it contained with, if you're looking at something that's not the general fund, you're really more concerned about the total expenditures for the fund
Okay,
as a whole.
Andy, you had a question?
One other question, I guess maybe I missed it in here, but your audit included all of the funds in the township, right?
Yes.
I mean, it would include the park, fires,
Mhm.
everything, it's all combined. There's no other outliers in terms of funds or.
No, and there's no other entities. And like, part of what we do have to look at too is just understanding the composition of the township, for instance, like you don't have a DDA, you don't have any TIF plans or brownfields or anything like that that would be a separate entity that would be, accounted for within the township. So in terms of looking at the township as a whole, all the funds, general fund, fire fund, park fund, ambulance, fire capital, and then your public improvement fund that you have would be governmental activities, and the old Miami sewer thing that had lingered for years, that's gone now because that after just conversations and determinations based on the existence of it, what's actually transpired, it's general fund money that was just owed back to the general fund.
Okay.
So, but in terms of, and the tax fund is also in here as well. So the fund that the treasurer uses for, it's considered a custodial or an agency fund. Really, as far as what you would see for that fund.
Yeah, there's no budget. It's just.
No, there's no budget because really the whole purpose of that fund is to, it's kind of, think of it like a hub. Township residents come in, they pay their taxes, and they pay their taxes. It's for the school. It's things that go to the state. It's things that go to the township. And from that fund, they then get divvied out. And what ends up happening there, the county actually does a balancing with the treasurer, with the township treasurer at that point. And what we're looking at is the reasonableness of, okay, you have $400 in that account. That makes perfect sense because you're at the end of a collection period. This is when settlement would have happened. $400, that balance makes perfect sense. Make sure the bank was reconciled. And then we look at overall activity for ins and outs for the year. And it's, you know, yeah, that's a big figure, but it's not the township's money. It's money that came in that you were collecting for the county, for schools, for any other
School district.
yeah.
That's what money due from the county, right?
But yeah,
I have one question. Has Gaybridge verified that the journal entries recommended to get the year end completed have been completed and we are ready with a fresh slate as of April 1st to go forward?
I will have to check my emails. I know the journal entries were in fact sent. I know that. Part of our wrap up usually is once, you have to forgive me, the amount of entities I'm working with and closing out. As far as if these were posted, if I wanted it, I could log in today to just double check and send you an email. If not, I believe this is something your contracted accountant would be looking at as well, because for them to be able to move forward, they would need to have good clean balances as well. I seem to remember looking at a balance sheet after things were posted. However, let me check my emails and we can go from there. If not, I still do have an access to the system, so I can go in, pull a balance sheet, we can see where we're at.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Any further questions? Great, thank you very much for your knowledge.
Absolutely. Yeah, Richard?
You.
So we're moving on to Chief Morgan's Emergency Services Report.
So it's gonna be a brief report. December was, yeah, it's gonna be a real brief report. December was a rather, I want to use the word slow month, but typically looking at trends for fire and EMS from December, January, February, we kind of have a little bit of a lull before we pick back up. So we've been taking advantage of that lull through training. Response times are still outstanding. We're averaging 6 minutes, almost 7 minutes for our turnout time within the township. So that's helping with me being at the station. The weekend staffing is just getting people out the door. We're not having to wait that 5 minutes to get somebody to the station, and then the 6 minute travel. Things I've been looking at, it's in the consent calendar. I've been actively really pounding away at our standard operating procedures, getting those updated and current with the township policy manual and also with best practices of what's going on nationally. We are also still actively working on our capital improvement plan for the goal was 26 through 31. I think realistically, it's going to be a 27 through 32. Just it's going to take some time to really work with everybody on that. So once I get that, I think the framework built out for that, I'll present that at a board meeting just so you can see where we're working and questions of if it has to work with the PC or how the fire department capital improvement plan would work, because we've never had one. So I think there's just some logistics that have to be worked out in that regard. Fire truck update. It's the same as it was when I made the update 2 months ago. They said it was going to paint, and then we had one of my Lieutenant Tilly stopped in. So when I gave my report last time, I had been told it's going to paint. And then Lieutenant Tilly stopped in 3 weeks later, and it was just moved over one bay, and it was being told it's going to paint. And I got a text message last week that the front bumper had been put on, which was great. That's progress, right? But I was told it's going to paint this week. So we are gonna do a surprise stop in, and just see if it's went to paint. We're getting a little frustrated with the process, because every other township around us has received their new fire engine and we're still waiting for ours. So,
Where's this being built?
in Grayling at CSI.
Oh.
So it's a quick trip. So it's not like we can't just stop in, but don't want to rush them because I don't want any issues to come up in the future with the truck, but also want to have the truck done by March 31st for reporting on ARPA funding. So I think if we can close it out by fiscal year, that would be great, because then we're not rolling it into ARPA reporting, which has to be done by the end of the year. So staying on top of that. And just working also on the grant. I don't know if anybody saw on social media, we're really starting to move actively on building that fire and protection safety grant for wildfire prevention. So kind of going to start seeing some mailings going out. I have I put a call out for just looking for a graphic artist and to develop material to do postcards and flyers and mailers to get that program up and running. So it's an exciting time. So other than that,
Excuse me, is that just limited to that program, or are you thinking that's broader than that?
just that program. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I know you and I have talked about the whole branding logo issues with the township.
Yeah, no, that's just for that specific project. I was looking for somebody that had done that type of work. So, but other than that, don't have much. Guys, have any questions?
Nope. Nope.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Next on the agenda would be the Planning Commission report, where trustee Milnick.
Okay, well, there's a report in the packet here, but I'll just hit a couple of the highlights. They did approve we met on January 14th and approved a special use permit for a home-based business on Cram Road. Considered a zoning amendment on fence height that's been tabled at this point because of the complexity of that issue. They did work on the private road ordinance, and there is a draft that will be coming to the board for comment in terms of a very, very basic private road ordinance. As you recall, we don't have one right now. It was repealed, and that puts the township, I believe, and many others believe, in a vulnerable position with regard to new private road construction. So that will be coming to you for consideration. Again, the focus was to have something basic. Gordy Frazier helped us with that. We went through a couple of different versions of it, made edits, changes, and have something. This is a general ordinance, so it's not part of the zoning ordinance. So that's why that's not being offered as an amendment to anything. It's a standalone private ordinance.
And a public hearing that isn't required
It's not required, I don't think, of a general ordinance. Is that right?
unless the enabling legislation says it has.
Yeah. So anyway, I guess there's not been a lot of conversation. So the question is this adequate? There might be, I mean, there were some issues that were brought up. We could add this, we could add that. And maybe, I guess we want to get some board feedback on how much more, the larger it gets, the more complicated it gets. So anyway, so there'll be time for discussion about that later. There was time to talk about the ROWG meeting. At that time, it was planning for what happened last night, which was very positive. I didn't hear any negative comments from anyone. Good turnout, even though the weather was pretty bad. Lots of people on Zoom, and it was grateful to have that opportunity for people to contribute to the workshop and see what was going on, in addition to the folks that were there. There's more discussion.
How many people showed up to that approximately?
We've had a number, I think,
Good, okay.
and then I think there were 30 or 40 on the Zoom. Okay, so pretty good turnout, I think. We haven't given what we had. This is not the end of the line at all for this. This is the first step being taken to, and it was focused on more general comments from people. It wasn't drilling down into anything specific. I think the ROWG wants to regroup and have more discussion about next steps. I think on the horizon, and in fact, attached to the report is something from Reen about potential costs for next steps, so that we're clear on what we're looking at. There's still more discussion to be had about a community survey as well as a future workshop. So the community survey can take a lot of different avenues in terms of how that's conducted, whether that's conducted as a mailing online, or whether we even consider a third party to help us with that and do a statistically valid phone survey. So those issues are still out there. Obviously, costs are going to vary on something like that. But anyway, I think everyone's kind of wanting to glow in or bask in the afterglow with a nice meeting last night. And it was very, very positive. Given the fact that this is a contentious issue, I thought it was really, really well done. And kudos to Michigan State for having a good program to share. They shared information, but it wasn't so, tedious and overwhelming to get into zoning nuances and so forth. But so anyway, that was all good. We reviewed the bylaws, election of officers. I believe Keith will be the chair again. He was nominated, but he wasn't there to accept, so we couldn't formalize that. Reen is the vice chair and Denise will be secretary. Looked at our meeting dates. We discussed the capital improvements plan, although briefly, there's not been much done on that. We need to circle back to it, but the heavy agenda has made it more difficult. Scott Trumbull is now appointed to the ZBA as the rep. That is recommendation to the supervisor. The supervisor, I believe, appoints and that's later on our agenda too, isn't it? I think. We have a next meeting with Giffords Webster. It was originally scheduled for the 19th, and that had to be rescheduled to February 4th. That's the regular meeting for the Planning Commission to continue working through our zoning updates. And we have the first bundle of material that we're working through, which is the larger issues of planned unit developments that need to be cleaned up. And so lots going on at the Planning Commission. Sure.
So I was on the Zoom for the meeting last night and I was very impressed. I didn't participate or comment. I just wanted to see kind of what was going on. And I thought that the two ladies did a fantastic job. And I agree. I think just from what I heard, what I saw, you could just tell in the room when they went around to different people and they talked that it was a light atmosphere, and for such a contentious issue, I thought. So that was nice to see. And I was going to ask if, I know that we're contracted with them to do a summary report with all these sticky notes and put it all together. Are we going to get a copy of that as a board? Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Be put out there. It'll be about a month before we get that, I
Right.
believe. So it'll take
Okay.
a little while to decompress from that, get all that material organized. I also want to recognize Reen for all the work that she did in getting that organized. There's a lot of behind the scenes things happening in terms of lining up things and, pencils on the tables and, all the different details that have to be taken care of. So, and the mailings and
I
all
have a
that.
recommendation on a firm that can do a survey too, that does very well, and they're local. I think it's even through NMC. So
Oh, okay.
anyway.
What kind of, is that?
A statistically significant survey kind of a thing where they do, it's both a combination mail and phone calls and that
Okay.
kind of thing, where you kind of approve the questions that are going to be asked, and then,
Do they review them for bias as well?
probably, yeah. I mean, it's probably part of their, yeah.
I know I was involved in a survey in another township that was very costly, but it was done by a firm in Lansing and it was really top notch as far as that. But if there's somebody local here, it can be maybe cheaper.
Well, and I don't know if it's based on, maybe the volume of the sample that they would have to call. Maybe it wouldn't be as much for our township, but I know for the city that was over $10,000 for these surveys, but that's, I don't
Well,
know.
the one I was involved in was 30. So
So I guess that's some information to share with Reen too.
a lot of
So,
sticker shock there.
all right.
Excuse me, Randy, on the rescheduled Giffords Webster, you And I just
To-
want to mention that's now a special meeting at 6 PM.
Oh, right,
Seven.
right. Thank you.
Yeah, in
Yeah,
case
it's,
no one's aware of that time change.
planning commission will meet an hour early, so we have more time. Rather than having a special meeting, we can just expand the meeting a bit and cover that.
All right, thank you. So then the zoning report is in the packet. The Parks and Recreation report from Mr. Tom Bartnicki is in the packet. He's in the hall. Would you like to speak? Okay.
So Parks and Rec, this was dated December 30th. So it's a little dated, but a lot of the same information. December was a slow month for park staff, same with the beginning of January. Minimal hours right now and just me working on at a part-time capacity and Vicky Emerson at a part-time capacity. We're ramping up to open reservations February 1st. I've been working with their overpass and Jim from Brick House to ensure our website is accurate and all the links are working correctly. The booking link is still off the website just to cut down on any confusion for people visiting so they can't go to try and book because it's not open till February 1st. We updated the amperage for sites 20 through 42 with the electrical project. So those are now showing 50 amps. We're going to put a bulletin on the website letting campers know that those sites will be 50 amps. I think it was brought up at the last meeting that the township or the park was the recipient of a $2,500 grant from the Elk Rapids Lions Club and we're going to buy 6 chairs to put along the lake shore. They're called Poly Tough. It's like the Trex material. Just for people, campers, boat launch personnel to sit down by the water.
They won't have to be anchored.
They won't have to be anchored because they won't take off in the wind
I
like the
just
cheap
wonder if
plastic ones.
it's gonna be, you know,
Take off in the back of a pickup
yeah,
truck.
I don't know.
Oh, I mean, we can look into that. The only thing is the ground anchors, all the cables are pretty much broken at this point, so we'd have to anchor to trees. Okay. And as far as staffing, I'm in communication with 3 individuals who are interested in working at the park this summer. And my question for you is, when should we start that hiring process? I know we don't open until May 8th, but when do we want to start them as far as filling out paperwork and getting the payroll and all that figured out? And yeah, you guys mentioned the surveys. It'd be nice to conduct a survey or pass out survey cards to the campers this season, just to get some feedback.
Do you mean the current ones or do you mean past ones? We have email addresses too.
We have email, yeah, either or. We could do pass or we could do physical survey cards. Any questions?
Great.
Questions. My only comment on the hiring, it seems to me that you'd want to start that process in March, line up your people and get everything ready. I mean, they're gonna start working in May, right?
Yeah.
So that'd give you a month and a half to onboard and
Yeah.
advertise on board.
Green.
Yep.
Yep.
I agree.
Internal process. All right,
So we'll plan on March. Thank you.
thank you. So we have verbal reports next. It looks like a prac report from Jill Kester.
The Park and Recreation Advisory Committee met, oh my goodness, met Tuesday night after the special meeting, and we went over every detail of the public comment and all the board comments for the 5-year recreation plan, and we made our edits. We worked late into the night to get all of those done. We considered everybody's input, and we really thank everybody for taking the time to go through that document. It was a very large document, and we had some very good input and feedback, and we were able to make many of those changes. A few of the changes that we didn't make were on purpose after discussion. There were just certain things that that were recommended that that there were reasons why we had it the way we did, so we left them. So we'll talk about that a little bit further on down the agenda, but the mocked up copy of the edits was sent out yesterday and to all board members and the graphic designer, who flipped it around very quickly. And we do all have a new copy in our mailbox as of early this morning from the graphic designer with the completed project. That's all.
I don't know if anyone's had a chance to look at that. Well, I guess we'll talk about that later. The board, Samana Custarian had a payroll audit. The board decided that the payroll should be looked at, especially after the conversion from BSNA. A couple things were found considering like IRS timely payments and also the reconciliation of those payments to BSNA and to the bank account. And I had to explain to the auditor, the accountant, that I was in the process of doing that. So when she was looking at it, so she was good with that, and asked if I needed any help with that. I do not believe so at this time. They confirmed that the BSNA was correct after the conversion, so that was a good peace of mind. And that the pensions were correct. What's the other piece of that? I'm sorry, I'm forgetting what other part there was.
I think it was just the pension, the pay rates.
Oh, right, they found discrepancies within pay rating, but that's just because the people have multiple positions within the community and in our organization, so those were all accounted for as well, so it was good to talk to her. She is a MTA person who does a part of the conference, so she's one of the teachers there. And so she advised, that we could take her payroll class as well at the upcoming MTA conference. And I had also done a BSNA end of the year webinar. And so she just showed me ways that I could use that to document better in BSNA, and for the upcoming audit, that will make it a lot easier. So I was pleased to have that. Any questions?
I have some comments on it. So I read the report, and I read your response, and I think we really, and then they followed up on your response as well, and I think that was sent to everybody at the board. So we're at this crossroads now as far as this payroll side of things. They did have findings, but they weren't what we received. There's no details that we got to know what was this or what was that. So really what we have now is the option to continue with the CPA firm to drill down into the issues that they found, to either do the work to get the reconciliations done to balance out, to make sure that the payments to the IRS are proper, appropriate, and the state of Michigan as well.
Right.
Or the other option is to have the clerk, and that would be time
Mhm.
that you would have to spend to do that part. So that's kind of where we're at. And I think you expressed the interest to do it yourself, is what I understand from your response, that you think you can handle that. And I'm fine with that. But one thing that I think for the board is, I think that this calls for, and it may even happen when we get over to the reconciliation side as well. They're gonna find what they find. They're gonna give us a preliminary report, and they're gonna do it or you're gonna do it, kind of a thing, right? But I think that it calls for a corrective action plan to the board, and that would say, when are these balancing things going to be done? Let's see, so it'd be when, including, what actions are going to be done. I know there's like the balancing with the 941s and.
That's fair. Yeah.
And some of the information, and it confused me a little bit in the report that, and it jogged my memory from a long time ago, back when I have to do the payroll payments, but this EFTPS was something that was newer. It used to be you would make a payment to a bank and you had a coupon and take it to the bank. And so when I saw that some of the payments were made to a bank and then some were through EFTPS,
It's how the conversion came across. So
I
it
was
was
surprised.
somehow they put some of the tax payments as Alden State Bank. And so there needs to be corrections made on how, so I already did that
Okay.
part and made it so it's clear if it's state of Michigan tax or federal tax, that kind of thing. What really needs to be done is that I hadn't yet done the last parts of reconciling it to BSNA. I wanted to make sure it was correct instead of rushed. And so in the next week, that has to all be done for end of year, for the calendar year, for
And-
W-2s, 1099s, all that. Yes. So
And is
it's in a,
Cambridge doing our W-2s this year?
I have not decided that yet.
Okay. So anyway.
That was about $1,100
Yeah.
last year.
Okay, so back on this, well, last year was different. I mean,
It was
you had to
fund
get it done
balance,
in
yeah.
month from being put in office. The other thing I think that would be good is, and it should be anyway, I think this way, I think the treasurer should review and confirm the reconciliation of the federal and state withholding payments to the 941s, both prior, what you're going to put together to balance them, and going forward. Because the treasurer is supposed to approve disbursements, and it seems like we get like a total. I mean, she can see it on the bank statement, and then there's like a total in our report that we approve. But I really think that the treasurer should be verifying the payments.
And I think we could probably talk about that more during the policy and procedure too, because I think that's an internal procedure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I think there might have been some communication just to you, what specific detail information that Maynard shared with you, like the 11 things that didn't, payrolls that were duplicate. And I understand the reason why, the different pay amounts for hourly pay and whatever. But I would just like to see, I don't know if the other board members would, but I think the board should see, what did they find? We should see the detail, not just this 30,000 feet thing.
She had like a Excel worksheet that she shared with me, and so I can share that with you.
Yeah, I think we should just see it. I don't know that I'm gonna have any questions on it, because it's gonna be, to me, I think when I look at the pay thing, I already kind of know why. And so it's gonna be pretty obvious.
It's part of the conversion from going to fund balance and how it had to be set up in there, just weirdly, and converting to BSNA and how it has to be set up again. So
And so another thing I think going forward from this that I've learned is that it was even one of their recommendations. They think that you should prepare a list. I don't know if you just update it annually at budget time, but we as a board should have a list of all employees and what their pay rates are. And it can include the appointed officials and what their meeting stipend is.
yeah, that's a good idea.
So that we can, I would like to have that for budget purposes. And when I'm figuring out, well, how many meetings are the planning commission going to have, and how much is this one and this one?
Right.
So that would be helpful. And then in the 4.0 that we're going to be talking about, I think that the board should have how you want to distribute payroll registers after each payroll to us. For a couple of reasons, I would like that. I think it's transparency. I think that it would help assessing what's going on at our park, how much overtime, that kind of a thing, how many employees are on at a time. I think the management of that is going to help to have those reports. I think that from what I recall, Linda mentioned this, and I don't know for sure, but Linda said that she thought Cheryl used to provide that to the board, like payroll detail with all the names and
probably
everything.
true.
I don't really think that's packet material. I don't think it needs to be out there.
I think it's part of BSNA though, that you can do these reports yourself. So that was part of our getting BSNA,
Right. I mean, like,
You can go and look
like
at
if
whatever.
we gave
Yeah.
access, because I've never tried to access payroll. I didn't think I had access to anything as far as reporting or anything with that. So, but that would be helpful that, we have that information, and even if it's in the OneDrive, but if you said it's on BSNA, then that's not an issue. I would say give all of us access to the payroll report, whatever you said that is.
Yeah.
And then after each payroll, if we want to look at it, we can. So, and I think, Jill, you probably already have access to that, I would think.
Finally, yeah, we finally have access to it. I don't know if everybody would have access to it because I did not have access to it for the longest time, and it took a lot of.
It's also a learning curve of how to use it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I talked to Wendy Tuesday. I mean, I need more access to reports that when I try to just click on a general ledger report like we experienced, I don't have access. So I have to work.
BSNA even has to try to figure out how to make access to people. Yeah.
And the last thing on this, well, it's not really related to this, but I would like to see a year-end payroll register. And I don't know if that's a report that I can run, but I would like that for budget.
Yep.
So that's all I had. And then I did talk to Maynard, not about this, but I had to talk to him about tower rent analysis or whatever, a recommendation from them. But I didn't know if they've contacted you yet. Somebody from there is going to call you this afternoon.
So that's the
I-
next
I
item on the
call-
agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Okay, so
part.
Unless Randy had more questions about the payroll.
No, although I do want to see, I mean, I guess if I can have some access to the BSNA, just the general reporting thing so that I can have that, because I don't, you know, and I didn't, I know there's been the transition and I don't, it's not critical, but I would at some point like to have something.
And it might be just sitting down with each of you and showing you how to do it too. So I'm willing to do that.
Good.
Moving
I don't
on
need the
to,
reporting thing that Tim does as deputy supervisor. I don't think I need the reporting capabilities
the
that Tim,
overview,
yeah,
yeah.
just, but just,
I just have one comment about this as well. I can go either way with either Maynard doing the follow-up corrections or Wendy doing them, but I think that there does need to be some accountability and oversight that they double check your work, and I would like confirmation of that when it's done, just so that we know everything is cleaned and swept up and done. My other concern about this a little bit too, it's unfortunate that the way they did the audit, in my opinion, it didn't capture a lot of the things that could potentially be wrong. And they admit this even in the report, that they're taking a very high overview look at this. They did not have access to a lot of the details to,
we actually had full access to it.
well, they mentioned numerous times in here that they did not have access to a lot of the
So
information. to be
it's
able to
about
do-
documentation within BSNA. So part of the conversion, like for instance, an Excel sheet that I have to send to the John Hancock pension is not necessarily in BSNA from May or July. That's the kind of stuff they were talking about, that they were missing the total information. So I had to give them more information that was in BSNA. So going forward, they showed me how to actually put it into BSNA so no one has to do that. Like an auditor can come back and say, hey, that's okay, this makes sense.
Good. I mean, the good news is that going forward, things are going to be hopefully a lot easier, a lot cleaner. And I just want to assure that everything in the past, we're spending all this money on these companies to get these kind of things done. And I just want to make sure there's follow-up and completion and that we're just 100% good to go.
So I think we're all on the same page on that one. So, and saying that about the reconciliation reports, we would like to hear what's going on with that.
We've been waiting for the journal entries to get in, so we can't do anything until the journal entries from Gaybridge are complete and everything is ready for a fresh slate. So if, as soon as we can get that confirmed, we can move forward. I'm actually meeting with Maynard on Friday. So I think they were still trying to get confirmation that those things were input and done as well. So they have to verify that everything is set and ready for us to start and take over where you left off. So we are very anxious to get started and looking forward to getting this done.
So I'd like just confirm that all journal entries have been made, except for probably 2 or 3 of them where new funds had to be made. And so those were just being carefully considered what they needed to be before I jumped in and did that. And so once I get those done in the next couple of days, that will be good to go.
All right.
So I am curious what, and we can talk about it offline, but what, because of budget again, but what funds are we talking about kind
Remember
of
like
thing?
that
And-
390 one you sent me?
Oh, that's a new.
Yeah,
a
yeah,
new
that's part
account.
of that.
A new-
That's
That's a new account number.
right, yes,
not a
yeah,
fund.
no, I'm sorry, yeah.
Okay, all right. Yes,
Misspoke.
it's okay. So as far as the corrective action report, is that something that we could get by our next board meeting?
As long as the treasurer's gonna be held accountable for the reconciliations as well. Yes, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to have reconciliations done by next month.
No, but
Well,
hopefully it's.
No, just in
They
the
have to be done
future.
by the end of March. I know that, so.
All right, moving
So
on.
what's, I'm not clear on what exactly you're saying has to be done by next meeting.
I asked for a corrective action report based on the findings
Oh.
of Maynard.
Okay.
What's
Would-
going to be done and when?
It would have to be done probably before the next meeting, honestly.
Yeah.
So.
Nothing big and
It'll be a
elaborate, nothing big and
follow-up.
elaborate, just part of that accountability
Yep.
thing.
Further questions? So we're moving on to the consent calendar. Would anybody like to remove any items from the consent calendar, or would you like to receive and file?
I want to just. Oh, it is on consent. Okay, bills for approval. I don't really necessarily want to pull it. I would like to see the detail of the auditor's bills that were in the thing for approval.
Sure.
Okay.
Also, something you can see in BSNA, you should be able to.
Oh,
Yeah.
the actual invoices.
So even when I send you that report, if you click on the blue part of it, it should go bring you to BSNA as long as you have it up and on your.
You'll give me the
computer.
amount, and then if I click on,
Blue
is it
part.
going to show me the invoice?
It should, yeah. They're all scanned in there.
Okay,
I made it so it has to be scanned in before you can
okay,
put anything in.
perfect.
I would like to actually pull the bills for approval because the ER News, that is an incorrect amount. And so that was already paid on the last bills for approval and this one got entered incorrectly. So that is not even necessary on there. So we'll just strike that part. Elk Rapids News, I believe it's like 800 some dollars.
Also, you already talked about it, but you just want it removed for now.
Yeah, yeah. We got a statement from them, so they're going through a transition too, and it's hard to keep up with what was posted and what wasn't, and a learning process for new deputies.
And then just a clarification thing, I don't want to pull it and Josh isn't here, but you all understand what this fire department SOP thing is, right? And there's going to be, why don't we pull it and talk about it? I've worked with him on this and I want to talk to you about it. So let's pull 12.
And 13.
Yeah.
Do I have a motion?
So move.
Motion to approve the amended consent calendar and pull bills for approval and the SOPs for the fire.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carried.
I think you already explained the bills.
Yeah,
I'll make a motion to approve bills for payment less the amount to Elk Rapids News as it is a duplicate.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed? Any opposed? No. Motion carried.
Okay, fire department SOP is the only thing I wanted to say is I have worked with Josh over the past year a little bit on this stuff and he's had me review different things, but he does a very good job of he's doing a really good job of getting everything in order as far he's basically
been a long-
redone
Yeah.
redoing everything. And I have confidence that he's going to keep everything updated. There's going to be, he keeps track of all changing legislation and this and that and operational countywide and what's going on. So expect that there's going to be more changes. We decided to make this really a receive and file on the consent calendar because probably quarterly is going to have more of these changed SOP number, whatever. And I did ask him, however, when you look at the SOPs, I said the cover page of his report, I gotta find it on here. SOPs. So the cover page, the second page, he has all of the different ones. So we talked about what to put in the packet. And so we didn't put the actual standard operating procedure. We just put the title of it. And then he has the status and every single one of them say revised. I said it would be helpful if it had a date that it was revised.
Right.
So as there's changes, we can see when they were made. So he said that'd be easy and he'll do it. But he also put these on OneDrive for any board member that has questions or if we have questions in the future. I think it would be good then we can go in there and we can read what their procedure is on this or that or
Well,
what.
he recently shared that with everyone, right?
He did, yeah. After he got this for the packet, then he kind of put that out there. And so he'll keep this updated going forward. And then,
And it's really his job as department head, just for us to accept.
right, and I think going forward though, when he does make changes, we don't have to approve them, but he'll probably bring them for consent calendar to be received and filed, that there was a change on this one or that one. That's probably all. So. There's nothing, like, suppose, make a motion to receive and file fire department SOP updates.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed, motion carried. So moving on to unfinished business, any park or recreation items?
No.
And we do not have any. And then, so consideration of approving the Parks and Rec 5-year plan. And we'll head to you, Jill.
All right, so again, I just want to thank everybody that took the time to go through that document in great detail and give the recommended feedback. I am really hoping that it will be moved forward today and adopted, because otherwise we essentially lose about 2 years of time of getting anything done. The process is very slow. If it is approved today, we have the opportunity to apply for grants by April 1st of this year. We do have a project that is pretty much ready to go, and that is the track around around High Prairie Park. And I do have the documents here. I'm not sure if Melissa sent these to you guys, but we have had this plan for many years. It used to be up on the board, so it is has already been very well thought out. We have some preliminary numbers here. So this is something this is just an example of one thing that we could start proceeding and working on right away. We have, if you just apply by April 1st, we still have until September to make tweaks to get better scoring. The only thing that did not get put in the 5-year plan, and again, the 5-year plan is not an unchangeable document. Once we approve it, major changes can be made. And I think the only major change that was really discussed was that we would like more feedback from the campers and doing some surveys and different things like that. Too bad that we didn't think about this a year ago when we started going into this project. Because we could have done it this year, but that is something that once we gather that information, maybe we take the next 2 summers and gather information from the campers. And if that creates a large, different perspective in the 5-year plan that we have gotten back from residents already, then we could add that as supplemental information to the 5-year plan and update that at that time, that, maybe we need to go in a different direction because we've heard from 70% of the campers that they want new bathrooms, things like that. So it's not like it cannot be changed at all over the past 5 years and that we can't add it. It just seems like it would be a huge disservice to not move forward right now, so we can at least have the opportunity to pursue a few things this year. Again, the cycle is if we move this forward now, we have until April 1st to apply for grants. We have until September to massage those, get better scorings, change them, and have better opportunities for those grants to come into effect. Funding for those grants, if we're awarded, doesn't even happen until spring of the following year. So the project won't even be started until 2027 at this point. So if we push off adopting this year and it's not done until next year, we're looking at at least 2 years of delay for even being able to move forward on anything. And I just think there's absolutely no reason. The plan has already been kind of blessed by the DNR as being above and beyond acceptable the way it is. We can add information if we want down the road to make it even better, but there's no reason that I see for it to not pass at this point, and we can get the ball rolling on some of these maybe smaller projects. We did have a question. Randy, you brought up at our special meeting the other day that East Bay Township was interested in doing a trail system along Supply Road. We were wondering how that was, Parks and Recreation, that's not township property. So we weren't sure exactly how that would tie into this particular document or plan for grants, since it wasn't really anything we control on state land.
So let me explain that part, and if that respond to that question, that's all right. So Yeah, that when the master plan was done, there was a portion that addressed non-motorized transportation and it showed linkages to the township parks. And as part of our planning process for the master plan, we had to send our plan to adjacent jurisdictions. East Bay Township saw that and said, hey, we might want to coordinate with you and do a multi-township non-motorized plan. So that includes things like bike lanes within the right of way. It includes connections, maybe separate dedicated trails. It includes the whole gamut of non-motorized transportation, which can be trails and parks. It can be connections along state land. There's a map in both the master plan and the rec plan that shows trails that exist, the Bassett Trail, for example, and others. So that was the idea, to look at the whole system holistically. And so that's why the point was made to there shouldn't be two independent efforts
Right.
to look at non-motorized transportation in our township. And there might be a bigger project out there if we can partner up with East Bay.
Yeah, so we did add that as a possibility in the plan, that we could look at those future opportunities. Again, I think that's, probably 2 or 3 years out for us to even probably start working with them about that. I don't think we should delay this plan and all the other opportunities that we have based on that one thing, but we did add it in the plan that it is something that is on the table, and we're willing to work with East Bay about that. We just weren't sure how it tied into Parks and Recreation, the 5-year plan, because it isn't township property. So we didn't know if that was more of a master plan.
Survey results that came from the master plan, as well as the survey results from the rec plan, both point to people wanting to do walking and biking and for exercise. So it's consistent results, but two different
Correct.
sources. So that's kind of surprising sometimes for a rural area, but it's true. So that's why, and that's not a high priority, I don't think, in the master plan either. But if there's an opportunity that comes up, then we would want to pursue that. And so I don't think we want two separate efforts to do that.
Since you have the floor, any other thoughts?
I do. So I think, unfortunately, I think the practice kind of put us in a difficult position here, in that I look at last time the rec plan was done, it was done pretty much at the end of November, and it was on the township's board for final action in December 14th. It was all wrapped up, ready to go in the document with a adopting resolution. So unfortunately, and I said this back in December, that we are really behind the 8 ball as far as the 30-day comment period, the public hearing. I said we had to have likely a separate special meeting of the board in order to get this done. And in fact, we did. So, but unfortunately, we're at a point where the comments came in Tuesday night. I don't know about you guys, but I've had 6 hours of free time between the meeting on Tuesday night and the meeting last night and the meeting this morning here. So I have not had an opportunity to look at the comments that have been provided. I have no doubt I know I saw the email came through at 11 o'clock or something from Melissa, but I've had no time to look at that, nor the email that came in about an hour ago about a final version of this. I think there's an issue of transparency here. I don't know what comments are reflected, how they're reflected in there, because there's just no time. I do think, I hear what you're saying about the ability to go after a grant. And I've said before, I've written these grants. We've got 60 days to get together a project with a cost estimate from an engineer. We have a process that needs to go out that includes public input. And if you're looking at a trust fund grant, those are fairly substantial grant applications to write. They do not just fall out of the sky. And you're right. You can send your application in, and then you get preliminary scores, and then they come back and say, do you want to add any other information to boost your score? So if you do, you add that, of course, but then you don't change your project around. You can't go and reduce the scope or add things. You're pretty much locked into the project you've defined. And we've not heard really about, at first I thought the urgency was about Lossy Trail, but that's not the case now. It seems it's this walking trail around that, and I don't think there's been any board discussion about it. So I don't agree with them. It puts us 2 years behind. I don't think it puts us behind at all, quite honestly, but Anyway, that's my thoughts on this.
I just want to remind the board too that the board did receive the final draft copy at the end of October and has had 2.5 months to review it. It was emailed to everybody, the correct copy, and it was also an email was sent saying that it was posted on OneDrive as well. Unfortunately, a prior copy of it had been put in the board packet that we met on in November, I believe. And that was just an error in which file got attached to it. So, but everybody did have access to that since the end of October. So it's been 2.5 months. We've had 2.5 months to have the board get information and comments and feedback to us.
been
So we
provided.
wouldn't have been under so much, gun.
Yeah. So I think that Randy's saying more that we did provide feedback and we don't feel like that feedback was heard or implemented into this new copy that we just got emailed to us. I can still see that their budget reports are all in there. We asked that those kind of maybe didn't need to be in there. I specifically.
Just the notes.
Right, yeah, the notes are still in there. I had asked for like more buzzword collaboration, things like that with East Bay. You need to have buzzwords in there to get a grant. You did not take into account the public comment that they did not think that this walking trail was a good idea or good use of money. And where's the money coming from? That's my problem as well. And who's writing the grant? So in that joint meeting with PrAC, it was said that no PrAC member had time to write grants, but that suddenly changed. So that's just a little suspicious to me as well. So I don't feel like we're on the right track with this document. I feel like it's a little embarrassing, honestly. I know that a lot of time has been put into it, but I feel like it could be done better, just so that we could have the opportunity of having a grant and not doing it last minute.
Well, according to the DNR, it is above and beyond what
I
most
saw
people
the email
submit.
from
I
the
mean,
DNR,
it's
and so, but
totally good, and there's no reason for it to.
It's not the person actually processing the grants, though. So, I mean, that could be their opinion.
She's the grant.
Right, yeah.
let me just add to writing the grant. As you know, I did this before, and I've written a trust fund grant, and I know what it takes to do that. And I was
And the trust fund grant, if I can interrupt you, is not going to be for a walking trail. That's not an acquisition that they probably would be interested in. Honestly.
I'm not sure that's another issue is the competitiveness of your application. As I said, the passport grant is another alternative to that is competitive as well, but less money in it. So and there's a lot to weigh in terms of which program you want to pursue. There's even the Land and Water Conservation Fund that's also tied to this that we should consider. And that's 50% matching dollars rather than 75-25. And there's all different priorities with these different programs. So it takes time to align what you want to do to the grant programs that you want to pursue. If I remember right, I was paid about $5,000 to do a trust fund grant. That ended up being $500,000 that was awarded. And we did go through the process, and that was about 8 years ago. That's how much work it took to get a trust fund grant in, to not only submit it, to do the follow-up, to actually go then to the trust fund board and plead your case in Lansing. That's optional. You don't have to do that, but we did. To fight for the money. It is a competitive process to get that.
And that's just one grant. I mean, there's many grants out there that we can apply for. One of the things that we didn't take off is the word maintenance. I think that was brought up, but the reason being is that there are grants that are specifically for maintenance.
Not these grants.
Maybe not those grants, but there are DNR grants. I mean, it says right in this book that there are grants available for maintenance, things like dams, invasive species, things like that need repair and ongoing expenses. So we felt it was important to keep that word in there. So we didn't take we took every single comment into consideration. It didn't mean we necessarily implemented every single change. We debated, we discussed, and we determined, what we felt was best based on, the knowledge of the things that we have.
I understand your position, but as a board, telling an advisory committee, you didn't take our consideration. So that's my point.
But the advisory board didn't take your consideration?
No, the board told you what they wanted to see, and then you decided not to do that.
No, we
So-
discussed it all and
And then
yep,
you-
we're just making a
But
recommendation.
that's not necessarily the people in that group are the experts on the opinion as well. That's what I'm saying.
So can I,
Yes, your comments.
I, you know, for some people, this can get personal because they put a lot of time and effort into it. And so I'm seeing a little bit of that. And so I'd like to just, we're making a business decision for the
Right.
township.
Great.
This isn't personal. I look at it and I still agree with my comments from the other night. This walking track, I know I heard about it a year ago or whatever. I mean, this is the first I've even seen where it would go, right?
Right.
But for us, from where we're at right now, to get to a deadline of April 1 to apply, even have this board agree to, remember, that's our new process. We don't just have anybody apply for grants unless we approve it first. We have to conceptually approve the idea. The problem I have is that government in general, new people get elected, they want to put their stamp on something and they always want something new.
Mhm.
And what to the fault of allowing assets that you have to go into disrepair. What I see in this township, we have a lot of assets right now that are in disrepair. So to throw new money, even if it's only $75,000 into something new that we're going to have to maintain, snowplow, I mean, there's a lot of maintenance to these walking trails. You're not going to close it for the winter, I doubt. And what I haven't seen as far as the walking trail, I saw a few comments in the survey. Keep in mind, we had like 102 people fill out the survey or whatever. And I can't spend township money not knowing if people are going to use it or how many are going to use it. If we did a mailed survey, and I think we have to do a survey about STRs. We could add something like this in it too. But if it came back and it had, would you use this walking trail? How many times do you think you would use it per week or year or month or whatever? And you had even 20 people say that they wanted it. Is that justified to spend that much money because 20 people in this township want to use it? So I look at it right now at the park. I don't need a trail to walk around the ball field. I can go and I can walk wherever I want to walk, and it's all pretty decent level surface. And, so I just have a problem with the project itself. I think it's a big lift for us to get to I do not realistically think with this board, it's going to happen that we're going to approve a grant for that by April 1. So I wouldn't rush to approve the plan because of that project. So now though, I'll go to the plan. I, as far as input, and they didn't do this or that or what. And I heard too, maybe a comment that a lot of the plan is just cut and paste from the master plan, I think, right? And I think about that and I'm like, well, what we have, I think it's for a bunch of volunteers to put it together. Without spending the money on an engineering firm and paying that kind of money to put it together, and we know it would be a lot. I am pleased with it in that regard. I think that it includes, all the different areas. And yeah, there's a lot of cut and paste here and there, but I think they did a good job for not really getting paid for it.
Well,
Other than the graphics, right? But so they did the graphics, but it wasn't like you hired a firm to put a whole, but they had a good sample to start with too, because we already had one. So I did agree with some of the things that, I don't know if Park Road was added back to it. I think that's very important. That's another one of those assets that, we need to take care of our stuff. And so I don't really have a problem approving it because I don't think there's any harm. It can be changed. It can be modified. I'm not saying I'm supporting applying for a grant by April 1, maybe a maintenance grant on something that we already have, but not something new at this point, not especially for something with that much money.
so if it wasn't a DNR grant they were applying for, they wouldn't need this plan. So they could find a.
Well, she said there's maintenance grants.
Right,
in the-
yeah, but those are.
But they're not tied to the rec plan.
Right, I don't know if they
They are.
apply to anything we have, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know, but I don't, but my thing on the PrAC plan, or the PrAC plan, the 5-year capital plan, I don't think there's any harm in this board approving it and getting it filed with the DNR. I don't, it's not perfect. It can be better. It can always be better. Or do we just not approve it and then detail specifically what we think they should work on and have them spend the next year working on. The other thing that I forgot to mention, I would like to see, and this maybe would make sense to just delay this plan for a year. We know we need to do a 5-year capital plan. The fire department's working on theirs. Park and Rec needs to work on theirs. That's what PrAC needs to work on. What are the priorities in this township? They put this brand new trail, this brand new thing at number 1. We need a ranger station. We need a playground cleanup over at Whitewater
Right.
Township Park.
That's really
We
what the
need-
PC is working at.
We need the beach.
Yeah.
I mean, PrAC needs to work with, when we start that process, the planning commission, and then eventually the board on prioritizing what are the needs. I don't think it's something new. I think we need to take care of what we have. And we need to set priorities of where we're going to spend our limited funds, and they are very limited funds. So that's my thing. If we vote on filing it, I don't think there's any harm. We can change, we can modify, we can refile, maybe even mid-year. But I appreciate all the work that was put into it. I would vote yes to approve it at this point. We spent the money on the special meeting for the public hearing. I just don't think there's any harm. It's not perfect, but I don't think
I think it's just worth a shot. And this is just one example that was, and even the DNR, our DNR coordinator said literally April 1st, it can be a sketch on a napkin. I mean, that's, we don't have to have this perfect presentation by April. We have almost a whole year to get that, refined, and they work with you. They give you suggestions. They tell you what you need to do to get a higher score to get the grant, and you have until September to do
But I
that.
think we should not focus on this project like you
Yeah,
said
no,
anymore.
this is just an
I just
example.
want to focus on, should we approve this plan or not?
Right. First of all, I don't know what we're approving. I've not seen it. I mean, I guess it's been emailed. It's, there's a transparency issue here. If I'm a resident and I came and offered comments, I don't know what my comment has been reflected or not. I don't know whether what I said in there, I think we already disagree on the maintenance issues. So I can't support a plan that I haven't read. And even though, and again, thank you for bringing that up about the gratefulness to the PrAC for doing all the work. I mean, this is a lot of work. It is. There's a substantial amount of time, and hats off to them for having got it this far. The problem is the process, I don't believe, was started early enough to allow for this kind of discussion and this kind of vetting about what we ought to be doing as far as a priority. And yeah, we can go back and amend it, but guess what? The process is just as painful as to do it to begin with. Except the public hearing is 15 days or the public notice is 15 days rather than 30 or something like that. It's not, but you have to go through and adopt a new resolution. You have to, so yeah, you can amend the plan, but, or we can just delay this. We can submit this plan anytime. It just happens to be the deadline is February 1 for the coming round of grant cycle. So that's where I'm at.
And who's writing the grants?
And who's going to do it? Yeah, again, I mean, the guidelines are this thick in terms of writing the trust fund grant.
I think like you brought up a good comment of the people right now cannot see these changes that have been made. So technically it's not very transparent to the people right now.
And when we did the master plan, we were went to great pains to make sure that the document was out there. You could comment on it. I remember sitting down with one individual who had lots of comments on it, working through every point that they made, and here's how we're changing it or not changing it or whatever. And there was an effort to do it. And I think this township deserves that.
Well, is it possible to have a special meeting in a week or a couple days so you guys have time to review these and review the final document and give your opinion, because that is still a possibility as well.
To get this still in by February 1. Getting a little burned out on meetings. This is the third one this week.
My view on
Not much
that,
today.
I guess my view on that is, Jill, that I don't get the sense that it's just that issue. I think there's a sense that the plan is lacking for some members on this board. And I respect their opinions and their input. And I don't think that spending the money and the time on another meeting is going to change how this vote probably is going to go. So I don't, I think right now it's just it's an up or down vote on it, is my thought.
Okay, I'm gonna call the question then. Ready to vote?
Well, there's no motion.
I'll make a motion to adopt the 5-year rec plan as amended.
I think if I could interrupt that, I think technically the motion should be to approve the resolution that's in the packet that is required for
You
adoption.
wrote an actual motion and it's in the packet.
So it's not just approval, there's an actual DNR requires a resolution. Which as a side note, I think there's a problem with the
That we don't
resolution, but
actually, it's the 2026-05. So in your memo, you do have a motion on
But-
page 120.
that's true, but there's also a resolution in there. So I get,
But-
With adoption under resolution. Yeah.
But we don't have to actually read the resolution into
Okay.
the record. So,
well, we should know we're approving a resolution, right?
correct.
So I'm making a motion to approve the Park and Recreation 5-year plan as presented or with amendments.
Well,
Well,
one or
with,
the other.
with amendments for adoption under resolution 2026-05.
Do I have a second? I guess with no second, this motion gets tabled?
No, it just fails.
Okay. No one wants to table it.
And I think it's up to the board to give the PrAC and through Jill feedback on what their expectations are going forward.
I agree.
Regarding
Correct.
this. So,
Absolutely.
All right, moving on. Our next item for business is the poverty exemption through the Board of Review. No, Tim, if you had much to do with that, or if you want to talk about it, or if I just want to read
we
it.
do actually have, well, again, this is a very long one, but I'm not going to read, I don't have to read the whole resolution. But I wanted to point out, well, before we get into a discussion, I'd like to make a resolution. Does she have a motion in here on it?
Yeah.
Where is is it in
Under
her
the
memo?
blue, it is page
motion.
225.
Okay, motion to adopt resolution number 2026-04, Whitewater Township Poverty Exemption Guidelines as amended.
I'll second that motion.
And then I have some discussion on not really the poverty exemption rules and that this is something that we have to bring back annually to the board. But we need to get some consistency a little bit on our resolution numbers. I noticed we've been using
Oh,
2026-05 on the last one. This one is 26-04.
because everyone's writing their own resolutions. So,
Okay, well, just so that, and then I noticed down at the certificate for Wendy to sign, and this is a note for you, because this is gonna have to.
I will correct these when they're
It
actually
says,
done.
it says resolution 26-01. So, okay, so you're gonna redo
Oh,
this.
yes, I
Okay.
make sure that they are correct
All right.
before I certify them.
And then,
There's
so
a couple that are missing because one was for dates.
I think Randy might have, I don't know if Randy was left out of the email of, I contacted MTA about resolutions if they have to be read in, because some of them are like, the whole thing with
Oh, yeah.
the FAD.
So
Well-
it'll save us, some time.
Linda did tell me that Wendy, and I saw it today, she's keeping a separate book of all resolutions.
Yes,
I don't know if you keep a separate one for the planning commission?
yes.
Okay. So that's what's required is you have to state the resolution in the motion and you have to keep the resolutions in a separate.
But it doesn't have to be read.
It is.
No, not in the meeting.
Sometimes you might read it if you have 3 whereases, right?
I
But,
think for the SAD, we had to read them out loud. It was
Did we?
required, yeah.
okay.
But in any case, is anybody ready to vote on this?
I am.
Roll call vote. Hoeksma, yes. Kester,
Yes.
Aaron's,
Yes.
Milnick.
Yes.
Then 2026-04 poverty exemption guidelines is adopted. The next item on our new business section is the P and P manual, section 4.0 financial administration changes. Trustee Tim.
You do. Well, really, it's open for questions. I'm opening my document. I put it on your desk. I gave a copy to Kay. Linda had asked me to go through and not only this, but I think there's another one she wants me to look at, but I thought with the idea that we talked about before, of maybe bringing some of this stuff back to the board one at a time. And it gives you more time to be thoughtful about, is this our current practice?
Right, that's,
Get things to at least to be our current practice. And then is this how we want to continue doing something? Does it need to be adjusted because of legislation or inflation or whatever? In this case, the dollar amounts for approval requiring the supervisor and the clerk to sign off on a purchase order. Probably that $1,000 has been that way for a very long time. So the main point was to increase that to 1,500. That they still need a purchase order, right? But it doesn't require the supervisor and the clerk to sign it. The clerk would have to issue a purchase order. And also over 1,500 out. Should I give you the page number?
page 8.
Randy, I see him flipping through there.
It's 8.
Oh, okay. Yeah, page 8. I'm just focusing on that right now. So it's just taking that 1,000, moving it to 1,500. Still, it's, you know, with 1,500 and above, 3 quotes are required, right? If possible to get them. And then the other one is everything right now that's over 5,000 comes to the board. That amount would change to 7,500. And then really the biggest change is $20,000. Anything over that required a sealed bid, and it would be if you estimate something's going to be over $20,000. You don't really know till you go out for bid, right? But so we're changing that to $30,000. It's a much more it's quite a bit more of a process to go through a sealed bid, public bid opening kind of a situation. And typically that's for construction projects, which we're not going to have very many of those. We just had one with the underground electrical, but you know, the boat wash station, yeah, it's going to be over 20, but you know, I mean, it's basically, you know, going out for sealed bid to buy a power wash machine is, you know, getting 3 quotes, I think is appropriate.
So Linda and I have also talked about this and we agreed this should be something that you work on because I just don't have the time.
Yeah.
A couple of things that I wanted to point out though is that, so I didn't get this until Tuesday, 2 days ago. But also whenever we had just done the 4.10 and 4.11, there's already corrections on those. And I think that the OneDrive was not updated
So,
because of my
yeah.
change of deputies.
Well, no, when I started, so as an example, petty cash, this was all highlighted.
It's because we were going through and saying, that's what we
and
need.
Maria said this section needs revised. So some of this stuff already had things to it.
Right, but we had just done 410 and 411 and I see you have corrections on them already.
Yeah, but what I'm looking at, I'm doing the entire section.
So when I did the 410 and 411, I compared it to the MTA guidelines. So that's my question on this other stuff that you've changed is MTA guidelines and how they represent that part.
What
Also-
for 11?
Yeah.
What's for? Oh, that's ACH. I didn't make
Right.
any changes to that.
It's
Oh,
the,
just at the bottom, I just said Jill's signature needed.
yeah, which I already had and it didn't get
And
updated.
so what I did here, I just put clerk's office instead of clerk or deputy
My
clerk.
point is I didn't have a chance to go back and look and see if the one we adopted still looks like this.
Shall review and accomplish. Shall review and approve, not accomplish. So I just only had a couple little things on 11. But yeah, you need to do that, I suppose, right?
I would like to do that.
Um,
Also, I have, so changing who receives cash or who does the bonds, that will change our whole bond certificates with the insurance company. If you
right.
thought that you want to handle cash, I don't know that you need that liability. Also,
No, that's not just about cash. But the reason I put that change in there is because if you have a deputy, the deputy is supposed to be able to act in the capacity of of supervisor when they're
I
not
get it.
here. So I think that's why it should be in there. Now, I don't anticipate that I'm gonna need it, but it's a $5,000 bond and it's not gonna cost much to do
Right.
that.
The other thing I have is that you changed the state, like revenue and expense statements or treasurer report due on the second meeting of every month. And I feel like going forward, our 2 meetings is just too much for us, and then we'd have to go back and just redo it again if there was not 2 meetings, you know what I mean? Like, should we change it now?
Well, the morning meeting was supposed to be our business meeting.
Right, yeah.
So I don't know what you're saying.
So if that ever changes in the future, we have to go back and change and amend this again. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, well.
Comments?
Well, so do you think it should just say monthly? Okay. Yeah, that's fine. And then another board after this wants to have 1 meeting a month, then it's still monthly.
Yeah.
Like the auditor recommended that we get the revenue expense compared to budget on a monthly basis. So yeah, I think that's fine just to say monthly. I don't know what section that was. So
Oh, neither.
we're kind of flipping through. Well, so I guess at this point, I had sent this a little earlier, hoping everybody had a chance to kind of look at it.
Yeah, and I saw the yellow and I thought, oh,
That was, yeah, some of the yellow was from Maria, it must be, or whatever, but but I just went through it section by section so that we can have a whole section done with all of the board agreeing to whatever the changes. I got input from Linda. She wanted the bottom to all of these policies as we go forward to list as a footnote. Where is it? This is Policies and Procedures Manual, Section 4.0,
right,
amended 1/22/2026. And then she also wanted page numbers. So when you're somewhere, you know what page you're on.
right, yeah, that's.
So
good.
I added those and then I can't remember, she had some other, I talked to the chief because I didn't understand this 4.2F. Lost time pay. He said that's something from the 80s and it doesn't apply to them. So I deleted that. And the other thing Linda found under, I think I need to talk to Randy about this, but she found something that MTA or had the wording under 4.8B where we're talking about the dollar amounts for approval.
Right,
That you have to put separating the work of vendors into smaller invoices is a violation of this policy.
right.
So I have that in there twice.
Oh, nice, okay. Okay.
So those were
But these have been verified with outside sources. So you're saying that MTA has, I mean, you've went and looked at other.
No, I'm just saying.
He did.
She did. She
Yeah.
gave me a handout that said, we don't have this in our policy.
Okay.
And so I added it. But no, I didn't take this and compare it to MTA.
Okay,
But so I guess what would the board like to do? This is not obviously an urgent thing to approve all now. Do you want to take this document? I emailed it again to all of you. Because the red line version, when I did the combine, did not, it took the yellow.
right,
But it didn't take the red line changes into the combined document for the board packet.
yes. this
That's
is
why I
happening.
emailed it to you. So would it be the desire of the board then to put this on the next meeting agenda, put it as unfinished business?
So you and I talked about the planning commission and that, did you change that to
I did.
department heads? and
That's right.
boards
That
and
was
stuff?
one. I changed from department head, I changed it to department
Okay,
because the planning commission is a department of the general fund and they have to follow.
just to eliminate the ambiguity of how the
Right.
planning commission expends, or if it needs to do something like the mailings or whatever, how we go
Right.
go about that, and to make sure we're covered by this, and then we can share that with them and.
Right. So if that's the desire of the board, we can put it as unfinished business and put it on a future meeting and give you all more time to, what I would prefer is, I've given you all these red line changes. I guess I would like to, if you want me to do it, but I can keep the master document. And if there's disagreement on things I added or I took away, those can just be discussion points at the next meeting, right? And I wouldn't make the change. We would note that I don't like this, or it should happen. But if you have more changes, then it would be nice if you would be able to take the document and you could do your changes on it.
Right.
And I
tried
think
to
they
do that.
would they show up as a different color?
I did try to do a highlight a different color and it wouldn't save it.
But
So
even when you do a different change from me, doesn't it turn the change you're doing?
depends on
be
your
like
Word
green?
version.
Oh,
Mhm.
well, so maybe then you just have to note what changes you made,
Mhm.
In it. But then you could send me that document back with more edits to it. And then we would just note from right now, what you're looking at, we will know any changes going forward.
I support this, bringing it to the next meeting
Okay.
for additional
Yeah,
comments.
I don't want to rush it through. I
That'd
mean,
be
because I only
prudent,
want to
yeah.
do it once, right?
Yes.
So this other stuff you were talking about, would that give you time?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
I think that's a good prudent move. I don't necessarily disagree with any of it, but I just haven't had time to.
well, let's do that. So
Tabling.
do we just tell Kay this is tabled?
You have to make a motion to table it? No. Okay.
So, is that the right phrase to say tabled or, okay. Jill, I'm sorry, did you have anything?
We do, but if we're gonna if we're gonna discuss it again in the future, I can, wait, we talked about most of the
Okay.
stuff on the phone. I just had minor changes. One, I'll just throw out there, I guess, since we're discussing it, is I would like to see credit card payments added to the list of approved, payments for Wendy to do. So that we don't
Oh,
get the
the
late
automatic
fees.
payments, that's right.
Yeah, for the automatic payments. I think that, would be nice to have that on there. And then
And on that, can I just ask a question? It's still part of this discussion, but it drives me crazy to have late payments for, waiting for someone to give you a receipt or whatever it is. But is the credit card, like I set all my stuff to automatically pay? And, I keep track of everything, right? And you can always do disputes within 60, 90 days, whatever. But can our credit card account be set up to automatically pay on the due date without, and then we don't have to worry about that?
No. I have not found that yet.
Government
So the
can't,
previous board used to take the actual check and go down to Alden Bank to make sure it was paid on time. Yeah, I know.
oh, is that, when we see Alden State Bank charges, is that for the credit card? When we see an invoice to Alden State Bank?
Yes.
Okay, so that, remember we saw that Alden State Bank,
Yeah.
that's a credit card.
All right. Moving on. The next item on our agenda is the summer tax collection approval.
Don't save.
Oh, summer tax collection. All right. So every year we renegotiate rates with the school systems, Elk Rapids, Traverse City, and Northwest Education is part of that. And last year we did a 2-year agreement with Traverse City. So we really only need to focus on Elk Rapids. This year, the rate did change from $2.50 to $3 per parcel. And we just need a motion to approve that. We have all signatures and agreement between the school system and the treasurer's office. So we just need board approval and signatures. And Northwest Education Services just wanted a reaffirmation of the collection for their part as well. There's no money involved with them. They get theirs right through the school system, but
So I'm not understanding how we need to accept this then. So like we need to do a resolution to sign the contract with summer taxes for Elk Rapids and Northwest Education Services.
They just need to be,
Northwest Education Services, part of
Okay.
Elk Rapids and part of the
We
Traverse City
negotiated a
contract.
new price for $3 a parcel? Was that-
Yes.
Okay,
she did,
thanks.
yeah,
And then,
all she had to do was ask. We saw in the paper,
Everybody said
Yeah, we
it
can just-
couldn't be done.
we saw in the newspaper with Elk Rapids schools, other townships were doing the three.
Right, yeah. And so then we just have to have a consensus that you're still gonna have an agreement with Whitewater Township and TCAPS and Northwest Education Services.
Correct.
I'll do that first. I'll approve a resolution. Oh, well, I could make the comment now, but we actually need a resolution when they pointed that out to
Right,
me.
yeah, we-
There was one last year, so you're gonna have to, after the fact now,
Yeah.
prepare an actual resolution for the book, or when to get somebody.
Right.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 2026-03, authorizing Whitewater Township to collect summer taxes for Elk Rapids Public Schools and Northwest Education Services for the 2026 tax year.
Can I make a friendly amendment
Yeah.
and also for the supervisor and treasurer to sign the contract with Elk Rapids Schools?
Yes. I'll accept that friendly amendment. And you brought it with you today? to be
Yep,
signed?
yep, everything's right
Okay.
here. I will second that.
Just remind me before I leave.
So all in favor? Oh, we need a, oh, I'm sorry, we need a roll call vote. Hoaxma, yes. Kester. Yes. Aaron's.
Yes.
Milnick.
Yes.
So resolution 2026. I'm sorry, I lost my spot.
2026
Oh,
03.
03 is approved. Motion carried.
So I just want to ask a clarifying question. Last year, you wanted to do all the resolutions. I did send you an email about this. Did you want to do that resolution or did you want me to?
No,
And I did not hear back from you.
I'll just do
Okay.
it.
So I assumed you were going to do it because you wanted to do it last year and I didn't hear back because I would have been happy to have that
Well, I didn't-
done and ready for
I
you
didn't catch
today.
it when I was putting the packet together. I should have, but
Okay.
Me too.
So
All right.
then the second recommended action is just to reaffirm the 2025-2026 agreement that we signed last year between Whitewater Township and Northwest Education Services that is collected through TCAPS. That's only on there because they did send the documents for the treasurer, all of us to sign, treasurer, supervisor, and clerk. So that's on there as well.
So we need a motion to sign those? I believe so.
I don't know if we need a motion. I don't think even most townships do a resolution for this. I mean, this is just kind of a standard piece of business every year, but
why don't we just, can you take your motion back and let me give it a shot here with making it different than what you said?
the recommended action.
Well, we're not gonna really reaffirm. You're gonna allow the supervisor and treasurer to sign.
Clerk.
Is it the clerk too?
And the clerk, yep, all three of us.
So just say that, allow us to sign whatever that document is. Instead of saying reaffirm, just say, authorize. the
Word consensus for officials to sign the contract.
Kind of wait.
Okay, I will make a motion for board consensus to sign the agreement for collection of summer property taxes for Northwest Education Services for both Traverse City Public Schools and Elk Rapids Public Schools for the 25-26 tax season.
I have a question, just on verbiage. Motion for board consensus to sign agreement. And then the rest of it, are you stating who will be signing it?
Yeah, the positions, who's signing it?
The signers would be the treasurer, the supervisor or deputy supervisor, and the clerk.
And is that part of your motion then?
Yes,
And that was for TCAPS.
that was for Northwest Education Services.
Yeah, TCAPS is done for 2 years. It's just collected through TCAPS.
Correct.
I don't know how it works. And that's still at 250, I think, yeah.
Correct,
Yeah.
yep.
That one, you'll have
Do I,
probably more of a problem moving that one up to 3 next
Right.
year.
do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Jill, can you?
Aye, sorry.
Motion carried. Next thing would be the planning commission's appointment. I don't know, well, let me just,
Mr. Sherman's here.
yeah, I see that. So I'll just start reading. So Supervisor Linda Slopsma did include a memo today recommending the appointment of Michael Sherman, who is a Whitewater Township resident, to serve on the planning board, replacing David Bosler, who did resign. So we have a motion in here to accept the resignation of David Bosler from the Planning Commission effective 1/22/2026.
A second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Second motion is to confirm the recommendation of the supervisor appointing Michael Sherman to the Whitewater Township Planning Commission effective 1/22/2026 and the term ending on December 31st, 2027. So do I have a second on that one?
I'll second that. Do we want to hear from Mr. Sherman?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Mr. Sherman, could you take the mic?
Your timing was perfect. Linda
Yeah.
said to be here at 11:30 and.
Hit the nail on the head.
I'm Michael Sherman.
Uh-huh.
And for the record, I'm at 8596 Church Street. And as last month or so, I had several conversations with some of the staff and talked about my willingness to serve on the commission, and I'm glad to accept that position. I don't know if you had any questions. I was told to show up, so I'm here and willing to answer any questions or anything I need to do.
So why?
Why? Why serve? Okay. So my family, my wife and I have two adult children, but we moved to the community about 3 years ago. We plan on being here the rest of our lives. We love the community. I have a unique background. I am a managing partner of several companies that really touch a lot of the topics and considerations of a commission. I work daily with municipalities in what I do. I oversee, I'm not a licensed architect, professional architect. Some I've heard some people mention that, and I'm not. I'm a licensed builder, but I'm a managing partner of an architecture, engineering, and design firm, a building company, and a development company. So all those things, and I've done those things, unfortunately, since the late 80s. So I have a lot of experience within the considerations of a commission and being part of the community, and being a part of some of the meetings and just watching the meetings. I just knew that my background and my skill set could be used if needed, and I'm glad to offer those services.
Wonderful.
Well,
Any other questions?
I'm very happy he stepped forward, and I've had several conversations with Mr. Sherman, and I think he's going to be a great addition to the planning commission.
Nice.
So since I had a motion and a second, I guess I have a roll call vote. Kester,
Yes.
Aaron's,
Yes.
Milnick,
Yes,
myself is yes. Motion approved.
Welcome aboard.
thank you.
So you just need to take the oath within 10 days. So get with me in the clerk's office about that, and then we'll get some paperwork to you too.
Yeah, we'll get you some material to, the next meeting's coming up pretty quick.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Sure. Hope you like to read.
Doesn't have as big of a learning curve. Great. Moving on to our next new plan of business audio equipment system purchase. So Tim.
Been working on this for a while, as I think you know, and we've been sampling these, using these for quite a while. And I think I remember prior to these microphones, the other ones were more, I was told, karaoke microphones. They weren't really all the same either. And I remember, like in church, a lot of people come and they sit in the back. It was always, we can't hear you, we can't hear you. Ever since we started using these, there are some issues with them now and again, right? But you don't hear people saying they can't hear you anymore.
Right.
So I've worked with Matt. Matt is here from LIAA to answer any questions any of you would have. But Linda and I thought it would be a good idea to do the audio equipment purchase now and have our own. Obviously, you can see that it cleans up this area so much better. We're not going to have to drill holes in the table for the wired system. And this would include buying a place to store this, and then you just plug them in and charge them, I think is how it works. So we would buy those, and then, you know, that would get us one step closer to weaning ourselves off of needing LIAA here in person, which will save us money. So I don't know, Matt, if you want to come up, and then we want to go on to video and where would you put it and what would they recommend and that kind of a thing. So this is just kind of a recommendation. They do public meetings all over the county. So take it away.
Yeah, so essentially the system that is included in your packet is the same microphones that we use here. As Tim noted, there sometimes are some connection issues, but that would be reduced with the system being permanently installed because the antennas would be able to be situated all around the room rather than in our mobile kit where all the antennas are kind of condensed. So I anticipate there wouldn't be these occasional dropouts that we've been having a little bit at the last couple meetings. Um, uh, as Tim said, they're very easy. These bases charge with the same cord that you would use for a cell phone, just USB-C. All the chargers are included in the attached quotes. And then it would clean up the space back here as well. It would use the built-in amplification system. So these speakers would get utilized, but they would sound much better with these microphones than with the karaoke microphones that Tim was talking about. It would also have the kit has 2 handheld microphones like this, and 8 gooseneck microphones like these ones. So you could, at the beginning of each meeting, you would just power on the microphones, which is just a button on the bottom of the microphone. It's really simple. It's even possible to just leave them powered all the time if you mute the audio system when you're not using it. But it really would be a turnkey system. As Tim said, this is just the audio, not the video portion yet. I think it's important to get the audio all ironed out before the video because the audio is the most important part and it's significantly more complicated than the video portion.
So then you mentioned something too, where you were going to do something different with the TV, right? Or was there anything that you were going to?
So currently, yes. So currently the reason why Zoom participants especially complain about the sound being poor when we are not doing the meetings is because there's just one microphone in the center of the room. It's just a puck. And in audio, it's all about microphone proximity to the speaker, whether or not it's good quality. And it's just impossible to get good audio from one microphone for a whole room. So the included in this system that's in the quote is a way to integrate the computer with these microphones, the computer on the back of the TV. So therefore, when you set up a Zoom meeting, they're not getting audio through the puck microphone anymore, or they wouldn't be. They would be getting the same audio that the audience in the house is getting, which is through these microphones.
That'll be nice.
Is this comparable to other townships then?
Yeah. And there also included is a note that if it turns out, because it's hard to tell before the install, if that mixer in the back will behave properly with the equipment. We do have at Leah some surplus equipment that we got from the library. And it's actually the mixers we have here. So we already know they work well, but are the same model as the ones here, which are industry standard. And new, they cost around $2,500 to $3,000, but we paid $100 a piece for used ones from the library. And if the mixer that's in place here doesn't pan out to work properly with the new microphones, we can add those on, and we would just do it as a pass through where Leah's not making any profit off of it. We're just passing it on to the township at the same cost that we purchased it from Tattle, and we would include the documentation of the purchase that we've made from Tattle. So it would be an additional $200 to the estimate or to the quote if that ends up being necessary.
Would it be a good idea for us to have it as a backup anyway? Or just to go to that? Or do you want to try this first?
I think it probably would be best to just go with that. But I did originally, the reason I wrote it this way originally was because we were trying to keep the expense as low as possible and use as much existing equipment as possible. And we hadn't marked that equipment as surplus yet when that happened. So
We'll just see how it goes.
yeah, I mean, either one would work fine. I think you're less likely to have issues in the future if you purchase the two surplus mixers from us, or if we did it as the pass-through. But I also think it's possible that this one will be adequate. So it's $200. It might save you a little bit of a headache in the future.
So just to clarify for the public, since we bought the TV and having Zoom, it's not necessarily a waste of money that we did for the puck. It's just this was gonna eventually happen anyway because of the microphones.
No, and
The
you
microphones were getting dated and they
Yeah.
needed upgraded anyway.
And you could still use the puck for small meetings. If you had township staff sitting here in this room at just a 2 or 3 person meeting on Zoom that's not a public meeting, it would be fine for that. It's really that as long as you can get the puck within a couple feet of the speaker, it's okay. But it's not meant to be able to cover this much space. Or they advertise it to do that, but then it's not able to.
Well, we found the camera doesn't really, it was supposed to be voice activated and move, and it doesn't really do that very well. It's very slow.
A lot of it is sales gimmicky with the automatic tracking, and you're not the first township that's had the same sort of issue because people sell that feature really hard. But once you throw in any unpredictable variable, like a speaker having their back to the camera, then the camera gets confused. And because of the orientation here, yeah, or if you cover your face or anything, it gets confused. So it's really not, it's in good, if everything is really controlled, it can work well, but whenever you throw in any unpredictable variables, it can break the system.
Well, I like this anyway, because it's very nice to have presentations up here on this screen and not have to mess with all the equipment for the
Mhm.
pull down and
Yeah.
and it's just advanced technology from what the slide projector thing kind of is, so.
We'll just have to configure where they're sitting or who's
Yeah.
starting them and all that good stuff,
Mhm.
so.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize the clerk to issue a purchase order to Sweetwater for the amount of $5,881.60 for audio equipment in the township hall to facilitate board and committee meetings.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that. I have a question though, before we vote.
Sure.
So the 5881 the invoice says 49.99. What's the difference between the two?
Well, so there's that, and then there's the $224.99.
It's
The
because,
furniture thing.
so I guess maybe the motion needs updating in that
Yeah.
there's 2 different vendors. One,
Oh, okay, yeah.
Sweetwater is the vendor that it has the majority of the equipment or the majority of the expense, and then B&H Photo
That's right.
Video,
That's right.
there's some other. So it was because Sweetwater didn't have, when we first started talking, they had certain things in stock, and then certain things went out of stock that I had to find at a different vendor, but
Okay.
it was just a few different.
I'll take my motion back. So are you gonna, I know you said that we could order direct through Sweetwater. What about the other company would go?
B&H, that would be the pass through to us because
Well, could you just order
it's
both?
much more difficult to get the tax exempt pricing through B&H. It's much more complicated to get the nonprofit and tax exempt or government pricing. It just would be more cumbersome to set it up. So
if we just had it all bought through you though, like Sweetwater, you could just do a cart and buy it
yes,
once you got a check from us?
we can do the entire thing as a pass
I
through.
think that'd be easier than having us do one and you do these.
Order to LA, to
The
Leo,
purchase
yeah.
order
So make it-
Leon instead of Sweetwater.
And
Thank you, Randy, for catching that, but I'd make a motion to authorize the clerk to issue a purchase order to LIAA for the total amount of $5,881.60 for audio equipment in Township Hall to facilitate board and committee meetings.
I'll second that. I withdrew the first second.
I think we probably should do a roll call vote because it's purchasing of equipment.
Can I make one additional note?
Sure.
There also is installation on there, but that's not included yet because
Invoices separately for
yeah,
that though.
it gives an estimation of the range of the expense.
And what was that? I
A
didn't.
couple $100.
Oh, okay.
But-
Easter,
Yes.
Aaron's,
Yes,
Milnick,
Yes.
myself, yes. Motion carries.
I didn't include that because it was an estimate. and I don't know what the
Yeah.
amount will be, so,
Well, it's still included in a PO.
yeah. Thank you, Matt. We'll get that all going right, and then when it's working, we'll start talking video.
New business, 2026,
Help.
27 budget schedule memo in the board.
So I looked at what we did last year, and these were the dates that we used. We ended up having just like an if necessary, the very last day of the month. We have to have the budget adopted by April 1, the new fiscal year. We didn't have to use that date last year. I don't anticipate we will this year. I went ahead and am taking advantage of just introducing the budget on March 12th. We're not really going to discuss it. It's just going to be out in our packet. It's going to be out on the table for the public. And then I thought we could have a public hearing like we did the last time. And I just went with the next Thursday in an evening meeting, 6:30, but just have a special meeting and a public hearing. And we would just have the public hearing, and then we would start approving like the wage scales, adopt resolutions if necessary for supervisor, clerk, treasurer, trustees, and review some of the non-major funds. And just, we can limit the meeting to however long we want that to go. I thought 2 hours is probably going to be good. And then have a regular meeting at 9 a.m. and review fire, ambulance, park and rec, and general fund. The last time I think we got through all of it by then. Or we may end up just not doing general fund and doing a meeting on March 26th at 9 a.m.
Excuse me, Tim, March 24th is a Tuesday. You have that as the
The memo.
regular meeting at 9 a.m.
Special meeting. I got those two. Okay, I got those two. March 24, I think then would be a special meeting.
And if needed.
Well, we're going to need one in between unless you think, and that's why I have this highlighted because I wanted to ask you guys about these dates. So I've got these dates in there so that we have four really to talk about the budget and change and approve. But last time we needed 3 and we did it in a 2-week period. So I've got a Thursday, which would be a special meeting, and then there would be a Tuesday, that would be a special meeting. And then our regular meeting, March 26th, that should just be the regular meeting. Is that right, Kay?
Mm-hmm.
I think, right?
If you're calling March 24th, leaving that the same date to 24th.
Yeah, I'm just leaving the date.
Then it
So-
was special on a
But what I
Tuesday.
have messed up is the regular and the special should be flipped on
Mhm.
that. So the highlight should have been on March 24.
Well, the 24th is a special meeting.
So the 19 would be a special meeting, the 24 would be a special meeting, and then the 26 would be a regular meeting. And my question for you at this time, I would like to set a motion to actually schedule the public hearing, but I wanted to see if these these 2 special meeting dates are gonna work for all of you. I know it's a little ways out, but if you already know that you can't do it, then I'd just soon pick a different date.
Looking at the calendar of Whitewater Township as well.
Yeah. Make sure there's no other meetings in here.
There isn't any meetings on those dates, but there's just stuff around it, Makes
Yeah.
for a busy time again.
Well, but
Gonna be anyway.
but the 19th and the 24th are good for this room, right? Is what you're saying?
Right.
Okay. So then if you could look at your personal schedules and just see if these times work for you. And I'm making the ones that, other than the public hearing, I'm making them the morning meetings, so that if those go a little bit longer, it's not quite as taxing on everyone. Like this was a huge agenda and we got it all done in 3 hours. So I think that's pretty good.
I can
And-
make all those dates work.
And this can just be tentative for now, but it's tentatively, then the March 19 is the one, because we're gonna make a
Needs to-
motion.
Yeah.
So
You-
I noticed that other townships, when I read their minutes in the Elk Rapids News, they're setting their public hearings in advance like this too for the budget already,
Mhm.
so.
So my only concern is it feels a little last minute again. Do you feel like this has to be in March? Like, can we talk about it before the 12th?
I don't know if it's gonna be done before the 12th.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I
Well,
will
I
be here
mean,
on the
well, I
12th.
mean, no, I mean, we could start discussing it on the 12th. I just did it as an introduction, so,
I won't be here on the 12th
oh, well,
because I have
then we can't.
institute that week.
Are we doing individual meetings with you too? Like, are you
Yeah,
meeting?
in the month of February.
Okay.
There's not gonna be that many. It's gonna
Right.
be you and Melissa, and we'll do that one. And then Randy, I'm gonna send you the worksheet so you and Keith can go that. You'll have a couple meetings in February, at least one where you can talk about it, right?
Yeah, well, our meeting's coming up February 4th. I think.
Yeah, so I'll get you, I'm gonna be working on that starting
Okay.
tomorrow, but I'm gonna create the shell for everybody, and I know Wendy had requested to be more involved in the budget process this year. And you'll have it in plenty in advance. You've got a good year under your belt to know where you're putting things.
Yeah.
Last year, one of the issues that we had is we didn't anticipate some of the things that we were gonna do, like all the stuff with NOAA, all the computer stuff.
Software,
And
yeah.
we got all these kind of things. So we had to add new account numbers to put them into, which I think is appropriate because so anyway. We'll have our meetings in February, so it can all be finalized by the end of that month. And then if we have to move a meeting, because all of a sudden it doesn't work out that we're gonna have
It's good to lock those in now, so we.
at least you can put them on your calendar now, and if it changes for somebody, then maybe we can find a different date, but
Okay. Anybody want to make a motion? I'll make the motion that a budget public hearing will be scheduled for March 19th, 2026 at 6:30 PM to consider the tax millage rates and the fire special assessment for the fiscal year 2026-27, and that the clerk's office post a notice of the public hearing in the Traverse City Record Eagle and the Elk Rapids News in conformance with the notice requirements for a public hearing.
I'll second that.
I think that can just be a verbal vote.
so,
All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Go.
Yours is next too, the budget transfers.
I looked at, we had three budgeted transfers in the budget. And I think it's better to get these done even sooner than what we're doing them now. But with the reason that we kind of waited on it is that until I got final numbers for the tax roll for December, I didn't know what that 0.5 mil from the fire department to the fire capital improvement fund to pay for the fire truck would be. This is the last year of the 0.5 mil special assessment, 0.5 mil special assessment. So, and I let the chief know that, it's up to the board whether the board wants to continue charging a 0.5, and we'll have to discuss that when we
And I've
talk
given
about.
him those ballot deadlines.
Yeah, I don't think this one though is a vote. His is a special assessment. The ambulance one we have to discuss when we talk about the ambulance fund. So anyway, I just put a note that we didn't need the whole amount that we budgeted to transfer. It came out to 154,079 to transfer to the fire capital improvement fund. Then there will be enough money in that fund to pay for the final amount for the fire truck when we get it. As well, $100,000 was budgeted to transfer to the general fund from the fire capital improvement fund. Because as you may recall, the ARPA money that was originally going to go to the Lassie Trail went to the fire capital improvement fund to pay for the fire truck, which negated the need for the 100,000 transfer from the prior board from the general fund for the fire truck. So we're giving that money back to the general fund. And then we scheduled a transfer from the general fund to the park and rec fund. And that was something that the prior board, I think, intended as well, but to help pay for the cost of the underground electric project that ended up being 153,000 something. So this kind of wraps all of that up. And it's appropriate now that we've paid for all of that out of the park fund and that project's complete. So if we do all these transfers, then we'll be good. That's kind of a lot. So there's 3 motions. Even though it's budgeted, like Linda sent out an email or something, but just because you budget something is not a license to spend. It still has to go through the process.
Right.
Even with budget transfers, we still have to consider them throughout the year when we want to make those. They're not just automatic. Is my understanding. I could be wrong, but
No,
Ready for the motion?
I'm ready.
I'll make.
You
a mo-
don't have to read the account numbers. Those are for Wendy's purposes.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve a budgeted transfer from the fire fund to the fire capital improvement fund in the amount of $154,079.
A second.
all in favor?
Aye.
And
I'll make-
opposed? Motion carried.
I'll make a motion to approve the budgeted transfer from the fire capital improvement fund to the general fund in the amount of $100,000.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
I'll make a motion to approve a budgeted transfer from the general fund to the Parks and Recreation Fund in the amount of $100,000.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hi. Motion carried. Thank you for the clarification in those. That helped a lot. So the next item on our agenda would be the zoning board of appeals appointment.
Yes, so at the, as you know, the zoning board of appeals includes a member of the planning commission. And the planning commission recommends a person from the planning commission to the supervisor to serve on the ZBA. At the last meeting, they recommended Scott Turnbull, the new member of the planning commission, has agreed to serve on the ZBA. And so Linda, I believe, is making that recommendation to have the board appoint or to confirm the appointment, confirm her appointment. So I'll make a motion to confirm the supervisor's appointment of Scott Turnbull as a planning commission Trumbull as a planning commission representative on the zoning board of appeals.
I'll second that motion
And it's an immediate effect, right?
immediately today.
Yes, although I don't know if he's able to attend the meeting tonight.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Well, it's an appointment. Do we have to roll call that?
Yes, sorry, yeah. So, Hooksma, yes. Kester,
Yes.
Aaron's,
Yes.
Milnick.
Yes. So
Motion
is
carried.
there's no other oath of office that he needs to take or anything like that, right?
I'll have to look into that. There might, I mean, technically he does need an oath of office for a ZBA.
Okay.
But I can get with him.
Yeah, there was some question about that.
Well, but you're a representative on the planning commission and you only had to take one as a, so I don't
Board
know.
member is a little
Yeah.
different, maybe. I don't know.
No, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
Oh,
maybe
But
that's-
he's already had oath of office, so that's the thing.
You're still
Pretty.
promising to be godlike.
yeah.
Any,
I mean, just the legal question should be addressed. That's maybe a reason for him not to attend the meeting tonight, or if he does attend, not as a member.
okay, I'll look into that.
Good MTA email question.
Yeah. MTA trivia.
So we have no tabled items. Do you have any other further board comments or discussion you guys wanted?
Jill has something in there for public awareness. Did you see?
Yeah, just a public awareness that the post office as of 2026 is changing their definition of what a postmark is, which it will now be the date that it is first processed at combined data centers. So if you put your mail in your mailbox or you drop it off at the post office in the box, it will not necessarily be postmarked that day, unfortunately, unless you take it in and get it stamped. So we're just trying to let people know it would definitely affect people making tax payments that would not be on time if they are depending on the old system of doing things. So they need to either get it stamped, with the post date or do it well ahead of time, because I think our processing center is in Grand Rapids. It's
All
taking,
mail goes to Grand Rapids.
takes about 2 weeks to mail something from Williamsburg to Williamsburg. ridiculous.
Not too bad.
It's almost.
Oh, it is there, and it will,
Goes to Grand Rapids and comes back.
Yeah.
yeah, it'll affect ballots in the future as well, so that's a kind of a big deal for both of those things.
Yeah. Also, there are two extra copies of our audit for the public. And I think Wendy put one that was marked for the township hall on the table, but those are available as well.
And Wendy has hers, so we're good there. And I think you put one in the
Yeah.
box for Keith.
I've got one.
You have
for
one for
Keith?
Keith in the mailbox. The planning commission mailbox, I think, has one.
Oh, okay.
For Keith.
Okay, I got one in there, so I don't.
Okay.
In fact, I think.
Well, yeah, you had one in your mailbox, but there's one in planning commission.
Okay.
So.
Any further
I
announcements?
do have an announcement. I just wanted to inform the board and the public that when I am at these meetings, I'm a trustee, an elected trustee. I am not acting in the capacity of deputy supervisor. I'm not getting paid an hourly wage to be here. I get the meeting stipend just like Randy. So it's not improper for me to conduct a meeting. So I'm just saying.
We also,
It would be improper to have a deputy. It's not allowed, actually, a deputy.
It's not clear on
Supervisor
all
cannot
those
run.
rules, and that's why I was kind of confused about all that. Who's running? the
Yeah, a
meeting.
deputy supervisor can run a meeting. I just thought,
Then you can't vote, is that right?
correct.
of,
If you're
What do you
running the
mean?
meet, I thought I heard if, and this is just. If you were running the meeting as deputy supervisor, you.
oh yeah,
can
if I
have-
wasn't a trustee, I wouldn't be able to, number one, I wouldn't be able to run the meeting. It's not allowed. I think it's right in the, I read it, I remember that. And no, you wouldn't be able to vote, but I'm here as a trustee. So
So
I'm
you
not here
so
to
you
stay.
can vote then.
Yes,
And if you're running the meeting as deputy supervisor, you can.
You-
I would, but I wouldn't be running it as deputy supervisor. I'd be running it as a trustee.
Oh, okay. Well, so that's
That's my point. It's
that's
not,
part of my confusion about
Yeah.
not knowing how all that works.
I'm here. I am not the deputy supervisor. I'm just like you. I'm
You
a
look like
trustee.
him, but I.
So I'm just saying, and my thought on running the meetings is, I think it's good experience for people to get used to, if you want to do it and if you don't want to do it, but I don't see any problem passing the baton and kind of sharing that around. I think it's perfectly fine.
Okay. We do have an announcement. The next board meeting is February 12th at 6:30 PM. So we got a little bit more time between meetings.
Oh, that's 3 weeks?
Yeah. to get-
Well, that's good because this was a very big agenda. So.
Yeah, so that's the thing about me also reading the meeting. I have to go back and do these things now,
Right.
so.
Well, I just wanted to, I think that
I'm glad you cleared that up because like I said, that was confusing to me because I remember hearing that months ago about, as we became deputy supervisor, what did that mean as far as running meetings?
Yeah, there's this muddiness.
But then it's like, it's mind numbing when you.
yeah, when I'm here, it's separate. It's not. That's what I was elected. This is what I was elected to do, and this is what is allowed.
So-
But anyway, I just wanted to thank you for,
We Just say that there's public comment. We're not done yet.
I'm here and I'm listening. I have to get to an appointment, so I'm gonna.
So no further board member announcements.
I just wanted to say that for being such a big agenda, I think that you move things along quite well.
Oh, thanks.
So,
Good meeting.
And since we have no public in the room today, we will not have any public comment. And I make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 12:02.
I second that.
All in favor? Aye. Aye. Motion carried. You get there.